Okay guys, so the website has been a few little updates recently. I've actually changed the background to the new map now as well, and it's also like that on the little Bible too. I added a few more to our list on NPC, by the way, because I was looking through the VOD and I realised there was a couple I missed off that were really good, like actor and musician. And there was a couple of others as well, so feel free to have a look through those if you want to see, if you're super curious. NPC, as we all know, it's 1,000 raindrops to be one. Playable characters is actually closed. Last 2 streams, we started really considering changing that a bit, because we were getting in a lot of submissions, and the fact is playable character is limited. We're going to have 50 slots max throughout the whole development of the game. So it is going to be closed until January 2021, where it will open again. So anybody here who is very keen on being a playable character more than an NPC and you're holding out for that, of course I recommend that you wait patiently until it reopens again. But there's always the NPC. If you're not too fussed, NPC is still open. But when it does reopen, the playable character form, it will cost more raindrops than the NPC form will cost, as a warning. I actually have listed that there as well. And I usually mess up more verbally. Hi Richard as well, how you doing? It's good to see you. I'll be lurking while I do some work. I hope the work goes well, Oracle. But RJ, how are you doing? It's good to see you. Thanks for stopping by today. I hope you're being well, friend. That game I tagged you in on Twitter is fun, actually. Didn't try it out while I was working or nothing. Yeah, actually, I was going to say thanks for that, because I was actually thinking that I want to play a few RPG Maker games for a bit of inspiration anyway, some free ones. So I'll build a little list of some, because it's always good to see how others do it. And PCs for the win. I know what that stands for. I'm with the young guns. I know what all of these letters stand for. Alright guys, so yeah, I'll give you the link to the website, just so you guys can get there easily if you do want to have a look through any of the updates that we have put, because I've wrote a few bullet points as well, some extra bullet points that never used to be there and now there as well. So just feel to have a little peek if you'd like to. And I'm gonna cross that off, and I might cross the Law Bible off as well, because I'm not sure we're gonna need it today. Doing very well, hope you're the same. I'm doing decently, not too bad. Feeling much better than last week, because last week it was boiling hot, and I wasn't very motivated. But this week it's better, and I'm actually quite excited this week. I feel like ready for everything. First time checking out the stream, never actually seen an RPG being developed. I know, right? Yeah. I mean, the science and technology category on Twitch in general is considered game dev. I believe that is really what it is, as well as some other techie things. But what is unique about our project is that it's very community driven. I take a lot of feedback from chat to develop this, and it's a lot of fun. I think we've had some really cool ideas just from chat, so it wouldn't be the project it is if it wasn't for all of your ideas, everyone. So thank you for being a part of it. Appreciate it. And yes, we are working on the playable build stuff at the moment. I don't have a date for when the first playable build will be released, and by the way, just so you know guys, the first playable build will be super basic compared to what episode 1 will be when it actually does get released. It will only have the first 2 main quests in it, as well as the walking through the map, fighting some enemies and all that stuff leading up to those 2 main quests as you do them. But the intention is to expand upon that content with at least another 2 main quests I'd like there to be at least 4 main quests in episode 1, and of course a bunch of side quests as well. Good ones, not crappy filler ones. So yeah, and there'll probably be a few brainstorm streams that we'll be doing once we've got this trailer out the way, which is next week, the submission for that. Probably start doing some brainstorm streams about the next content, like how we're going to make it as awesome as possible, the next part of the story, and any other things like Everbloom Forest lore and ideas and all that things. We're going to make it as cool and as awesome as possible. And we won't be having brainstorm streams every day. Of course, they're going to be scattered. Some of the streams will be like improving and polishing the game so we can get ready for this first playable build. But I don't have a date on it yet. It's probably going to be more towards the end of the year, in all honesty, because there'll be a bit of polishing to do and things to implement. But I'll be working on getting that at a good state while we consider the new content. Yeah, so the goal is to get a trailer done showing off what we've done so far. A trailer for the first playable build, which we can also use for Picture Game on Tuesday, which is a special hashtag that we're gonna do. So I made a list of what we can show off in the trailer as well. Chat if you've got any ideas, if anything sticks out in your mind that you think is frigging awesome and needs to be there, feel free to say. Because what we've got here is really kind of gameplay focused. It's not so much focused on the community side of things, this particular trailer, because the one that we released a couple of weeks ago was more like that, you know, the one that I popped my pinned tweet on Twitter. That's kind of the community trailer that talks about the project, whereas this is going to be more the game trailer, what's in the game. I'm not totally against adding something about the community in there to show off as well, but I don't want it to be too jarring, and it would have to work and blend well with the rest of the trailer if we were gonna mention that it was a community project. But we'll say, because we've got 100, how many characters there are on Twitter? I forgot. It's not 140 anymore, it's more than that now, isn't it? We've got a number of characters to fill in. I'm still a bit clueless on how we're going to word the tweet, but we'll see. Alright guys, so I'm going to open TileD now. TileD is the software we use for our mapping now. We're very lucky to have a plugin that works with RPG Maker, so we can, and TileD is just much more of a fancy version than the RPG Maker tile editor. We can have more layers and be a bit more ambitious with our mapping. I've had a software update thing come up. It says check for updates automatically. Should TileD automatically check for updates? I don't like this, because the problem is we can't update TileD to the latest version because it'll be incompatible with RPG Maker. We have to use a certain version. So this happened last night. TileD actually updated automatically and then it didn't work, and I had to uninstall and download the old version again. So I need to figure out how to stop automatic updates as soon as possible, because it's just a pain in the butt. Don't check. Don't update. Okay, so the map is nearly done. Got the extra details in, like the cliff rocks, the vines, flowers in the forest. The flowers aren't everywhere yet, though. I've managed to do about half the map, I'd say. I've done the far right side, and here I haven't done the south and the west side yet, because it was a goal to get that done yesterday, and instead I ended up spending the day researching how to do collisions and how to make the mini maps work on this map, and that took a lot of time to get my head round. There's a couple of bugs at first, but I did them. collision. There's a layer of collision here, and we have to mark it with, where is it? Yes, with this red tile here on a new layer everywhere where it's impassable, basically, where the player can't walk. And as you can see, I've started doing that with the buildings and the bottom of the trees. And I've also set the layers up on a Z index for the trees, so that they're over us, so that we can walk underneath them. So that's kind of done now, but it's not perfect. I have to do a few things to sort that out. So yeah, we want to sort out those collisions so that we don't walk all over the buildings and the water. Because we did this before when we used to do the mapping the old way, but since we've moved to TileD, we have to do it TileD's way. And luckily I've managed to figure that out now. Other than that, what was the second thing? Oh yeah, the maps. I'm going to get RPG Maker up, and we might do a couple of test plays today, guys, because we're testing to see if this works properly, because we can't really progress and do the next part until this map is properly done. So if we look at our list, so we need to like add the quests and the cutscenes that we've done so far on this new map, but before we do that, I want to get everything else done first. When the map is 100% done, then I can add the quests and the scenes and all that other stuff. Binary, thank you so much for the sub. 8 months, that is awesome. Thank you so much for the support. You're fantastic. I appreciate it. Let's have some hype in chat, guys, for that sub. How are you doing, Binary? I hope you're well. How are things going with your game and all that? I hope it's all going good. No worries, matey. Yay! Hi, Pooh. Is the gameplay turn-based? It is. It's a turn-based battle system, guys. RPG Maker is by default turn-based, though it's not impossible to make an action game in RPG Maker, but it can be tricky, plug-in compatibility and all that. I decided that I wanted to stick with the turn-based to prevent those complications, but also not just because of that, just because I love turn-based. It's my sort of thing, very nostalgic, and I suppose it's the turn-based that's most similar to Final Fantasy X that we're going for. It's not the ATB one, the action time-based. I personally prefer the proper turn-based, where you actually have that turn counter. It's a bit more tactical and strategic. So yes, and all going great. She is very busy at the moment, learning a lot, so head is very melted. Oh my goodness, I know the feels. My head was kind of like that last night while I was trying to work out how to do the collisions in TileD and figure out how to get the mini maps working, but I did it now and I'm proud of myself. Hi Rose, I love you. Hi Barbara, how are you doing? It's good to see you. I hope you are doing well. Long time no see. Take a deep breath. How are you doing? I hope you've been well. Do we have a game designer here? As in, do we have a game designer? I'm trying to figure out what you mean. Like, what that question means, Mads. Been okay, thanks. Do you mean, is someone in the stream in chat a game designer? I'm sure we've got many, because we have lots of creative people here that hang out in our streams. I'm very lucky to have such creative people pop by. I got engaged. Oh, that's exciting. When's the big day? Congrats, that's awesome. I'm happy for you, Bubba. So what is the pink squares on the screen? Good question, Van. I'm just about to explain, actually. Well, the pink squares are to do with collisions. So obviously, the way things are at the moment, when we do a test play, that you're on the map, and you can walk over absolutely everything. You can walk over the water, the trees, the buildings, the cliffs, which is obviously not what we want. So what this layer does with these pinky ready squares is stop the player from walking over where they shouldn't. So these pink squares are going to go everywhere where you can't walk. It'll be a task of mine to sort of put these pink squares all over the place. It'll probably be a bit time consuming, but it needs to be done. So that's something that I'll be doing today, as well as a few other things. I've got a lot of bits and bobs to do and put together. In your community, yeah, have we got any game designers here, Mads asks? I'm curious now, speak up, chat. So what, just walk back into the room. And so where are these in MV? Oh, in MV, it's done a little bit differently, in all honesty. Everything does it different. If you do parallax mapping, you do it different as well. But the traditional way of doing things, because I have got RPG Maker up at the moment, the normal traditional sort of approach is to go on the database under tile sets, pick your tiles, and I've not got any set up, obviously, as you can see, because I don't do it this way. But you basically pick the tiles you want, and you do it this way. You put a cross where they can't pass, a circle where they can, and a star where they go underneath, if that makes sense. It's quite simple, really. This way is a lot more simple than the tiled way. I mean, it's easy once you've set it up in tile, but it can be a bit confusing to get set up at first. That looks simple, yeah, much easier. The 20th of April 2024. Oh, is that the date? Oh my goodness, it seems like a long way away, but it'll soon come, Bubba. It'll soon be here. Are you going to be planning for it? And I've done some design work for the previous project. I sometimes help on design with our internal project, but mostly programming. It's very open question, Mads. Yeah, it is. Like, game designer is definitely, well, if you're one, you're cool. That's clear. It's fun. Binary's cool. I know, so. And the tiled way is pretty standard by going by other engines. I'm used to seeing collision masks in most endings. Yeah. Even the parallax map way was done in a similar way to that, except we use like regions to block things out where you couldn't walk. But we're going to be using regions for a different thing now. These squares you see here, let's zoom in. These squares you see here aren't actually the regions. They're actually, I've done a hack to do this, guys. I've set up a tile called TileD, and I've used an image of the region numbers. And the reason why I've done that is so we can get our maps appearing on the squares that we want. So let's open the event editor. I don't know if you guys remember our mini maps. Now, mini maps you'll be able to turn on or off in the options menu. That's the plan, because not every player loves maps. Some people would prefer to not be guided when playing the game and play it a bit blind. Something that's more immersive, and that's a really cool way of playing things. But I like to give mini maps as an option for players that do like maps, like me. I'm one that does. So all this setup here, it looks super confusing, guys, but this is the way we get the maps to work. It's all done by image, which shows a picture of the map, and also variables that finds where the player is on the map to mark their indicator on the map. And I've used conditional if statements because we'll have to do it this way, because otherwise we'll have lag problems if we don't do it that way, because too many parallel events can be a bit messy and laggy. So this way, if they step on region 1, for example, if the player is walking, I hope I'm explaining this okay, because it is pretty confusing, but if they're touching this number 1, the map, a certain thing will happen, and if they touch number 2, a different thing will happen. The next map will show up, and obviously the goal ought to be to fill the whole map up with the different squares. I'm going to do a test play in a bit so you guys can actually see in action, because it's hard to like grasp things. I'm one of these people that can't unless I see a visual example. But yes, the map, all that happens, it's the same. It's just that the map changes. So for region 1, it's Lakefall, and for region 2, it's Everbloom Forest, Blessed Cascade, which is the first section of the Everbloom Forest. And we'll have to obviously do more, but I'm starting easy, just doing the 2. I just wanted to make sure it worked first. So I'm gonna open up a test play. Now this is a complete new project actually, guys, so we don't have the fancy Raindrop Chronicles screen, because I wanted to start fresh. In all honesty, the project I've been working on, everything's messy, the variables and the switches are everywhere, so the goal is to just copy and paste everything onto this new version, which will take a bit of time, but considering we're still pretty early on, it's not the worst thing, and it's better to start now than later when it comes to, because I want to try and keep super organised if I can with the variables and not have a super messy org setup. Hi Radio, how you doing? It's good to see you. I hope you're having a good Friday. How you doing? Okay, so have I turned the background music off? Let me see. Sometimes I haven't. Yeah, it should be off. Okay, so test play. So as you can see, you can't walk into the build. You can't walk through the buildings right now because I put those pink tiles in the way of them. So it's worked, yay. But still haven't done the water yet, so we are walking over the water. And the trees, I've sort of got that working. I've got this tree working fine. You go behind it and you can't walk over it as it should be, but I haven't done these other trees yet properly, so they need to be done too. Cliffs need to make sure they're blocked as well. And as you can see, the mini map's in the corner there, Lakefall. And there is an indicator to show where exactly the player is on that mini map. And the whole point in that number 1 and number 2, those loads of squares, is that once you go to the edge of the map, it'll change to the next map. And that's what those squares were, and what that parallel event was. It was to get that set up and working. Doing great, took the day off from work. Oh, that's awesome, you've got a Friday off. Are you doing anything good, Rady? Not mini map, nice, yeah. I'm a huge fan of mini maps. Everybody's different in terms of if you're a RPG player. I find that it's split. Some people prefer those little quality of life options that help guide them so they don't get salty and get lost, because sometimes, especially large maps like the ones that we're sort of planning, I mean, it's quite a linear map all in all, but when it's done, there'll probably be a few different paths, because I'm not a fan of invisible walls. Everywhere you can walk, you should be able to walk. Everywhere that you can see, there's somewhere to walk. So I'm kind of going to be like, no invisible walls. And that means, some players might want that mini map to stop them getting stressed. And the mini-map would also include where the enemies are, where the shops are, where the quest markers are, and all that kind of thing. But as I says, in the options menu, there'll be the option to turn all that stuff off, or some of the stuff off, and the whole mini-map off as well, because I think you can't lose then. That way no one can be sad that the game is forcing them to have it there, because like I said, some players like to be blind and not have a HUD. That can be a very interesting way to play for sure, and quite satisfying to discover things for yourself. But others are different and actually like to follow quest markers. All depends on what type of player you are, doesn't it, really? Do you care to send me Nikki's updated walking animation sprite with the ear change? I'm spending some time with our boy today. Sure, Ray, do. I'll send it in to you in on Gmail later today, if that's okay. Because yeah, you've seen the update, haven't you? She's there walking across. So just all I did was I used Scaly Star's elf, because she's an elf, fairy character, not an elf, sorry. I used her fairy ears and I overlaid them on top of Nikki, and then just made it work. I combined them, and it wasn't too tricky, in all honesty, to get fixed, and we've done it now, so all done. Awesome, thanks. Yeah. Okay, guys, so yes, that is what we wanted, the plans to get the mini-map implemented on all screens, because we've already done the first two, Lightfall and Blessed Cascade, so far. It took a bit of time to get the player indicator in the right position, but it's where it should be now, so that's a good thing. So yeah, it's all those little things like doing the collisions and fixing the mini-map, placing the enemies on the map as well, that needs to be done. And when all those little bits and pieces are sorted, then I can re-add everything into the game, like all the NPCs and the scenes and dialogue exchanges we've had so far in the game, and then it'll be a state where I can actually record videos for the trailer. And I still don't even know if I'm gonna have time to do the trailer before Tuesday, but I've got the weekend, so we'll see what we get done. Gonna get her outfit changed if that's okay. I'm pretty hyped for the playable build. Oh, okay. Were you planning on sending the walking sprite over to the commissioner then? But yeah, that's fine. I'll send it if that's, just send it me when it's updated. And we're kind of lucky that the Law Bible's very easy to update things like graphics, and if we were using the old way, the image character sheet way, I could have imagined that nothing would ever get updated on them, because it's very high maintenance to update images. Okay, so right, let's think of what we're going to do first then today. So I've given you guys a test play of what we've got here. Oh my goodness, my computer is pretty old now, very noisy. We're having a few FPS drops, I noticed actually when doing that test play. It wasn't too bad, it was definitely worse when we had parallax maps. I've noticed that it's a lot less demanding now we've switched, even though we've got large maps, but yeah, it's because I've got loads of apps open. I'm streaming, I'm using slobs, I've got TileD open, I've got Photoshop open, I've got iTunes open, I've got RPG Maker open, I've got the bot open, and all these Google Chrome tabs as well. So, and what's on your to-do list for the playable build? Oh, good question. Well, I've made a list here, Rado, of bullet points, but this is mainly for the trailer, like what's going to be shown off on the trailer. But in all honesty, all these are also stuff that's going to be in the first playable build as well, so it's the same. What's going to be on the trailer is literally the first playable build. So main quest 1 and 2 content, really, all the stuff we've done so far is kind of what I'm intending to be in the first playable build. But there's a lot of polishing to do, testing, making sure everything is linked and connected together, making sure the options menu is done, of course, so people can hide the minimap if they wish and things, because although it's only it's only version 1.0 and it's going to be basic, I still want it to be at least decent and not a complete disaster, so I'm only going to release it when it's polished. And in the meantime, because it will take a bit of time, it's going to be more towards the end of the year when I'll be thinking about getting it out. But of course we don't want every single stream to be that, because it could get monotonous and a bit not draining creatively. So I'm thinking of having some brainstorm streams in between, where we think and consider the next content, the next quest, some side quests, and any potential new features the game has as well, chats about that kind of thing. And because I think that's always fun to consider what it's going to be, the next part that we'll be working on, and it will get us excited. But I won't actually be working on implementing the next bits until the first playable build's actually done, if that makes sense. But I'm definitely all up for chatting about it, because I love our brainstorm streams. I think they're super fun. Super fun. Alright, so what I'm going to do first, should we re-add the mini-maps first, or should we do the collision first? I think we should do the mini-maps first, because we want to be able to walk over the map super easily to test if the mini-maps work. Because it'll be easy for us then. And then we'll do the collisions after. So as you see, I think hopefully you guys get how it works now. When you walk from 1 to 2, that is the switch in the map when it goes from Lakefall to Blessed Cascade. So there's 7 maps so far, guys. If we look on TileD, here we are, here's our 7 maps. So the top one there's Lakefall, map 1, that's map 2, that's map 3, that's map 4, that's map 5, map 6, map 7. So yeah, there's 7 maps all together so far. And eventually, as we add new content, I can see us making new maps, because we'll want fresh new areas for side quests and stuff. I mean, main quest 3 and 4 are going to mainly take place in the cave. So that's, I suppose, everything in the cave is underneath, I suppose, Everbloom Forest. It's all within the underground, if that makes sense. Is it underground? I suppose it is. All within the mountains, that cave is. And I'm a nerd, and I'm going to want to make sure it all matches up perfectly. When we do the level design for that cave, I'm going to want to make sure that realistically, this part here where the dead bodies are buried, if they visit that part in the cave, that it makes sense, distance wise, with this part. So if they travel upwards through the cave, it will the shape of the cave will match these cliffs here, if that makes sense. So that'll be fun. That'll be interesting to do for sure. And there was something else I was going to say, but I completely forgot. Because I always have about a bazillion things going through my mind at one time. Oh my goodness, I feel it was important as well. Oh yeah. And if you didn't know, guys, because some of you might not know, this map is all connected. So the way out of Lakefall is here, but even when you're on map 6, you can get back to map 1. Map 7, I mean, you can get back to map 1 because you can walk. This is where you meet the fruits, this part here. You can walk up this ladder, and there'll be a ladder here that you can push down this cliff that will lead back to map 1. and take you back to Lightfall. So that way you don't have to go all the way around the forest again. I'm very kind of inspired by how Dark Souls from Software games do their level design. They do a fantastic job of connecting maps to each other, shortcuts, if that makes sense. And I just got so much satisfaction from playing those games, travelling so far, then finding a shortcut that will save me the hassle of going through the whole place again. It was such a satisfying feeling as a player, and it's so clever as well how it all just was put together and thought out. So I want to approach it in similar ways. I'm all for the shortcuts on maps, guys, to prevent things getting the constant travelling, and some people like doing that. Some people might want to go all the way back to do some grinding again because the enemies respawn, but it shouldn't be forced upon the player. I'm going to put a trivia in chat, guys, in a few, by the way. I feel like we should have a trivia time. Okay, so maps. The next one is the one next to Blessed Cascade, which is Winding Way. So I'm going to implement these 7 maps first, guys, in RPG Maker. And then we'll do the collision stuff after that. All bits and bobs to get the trailer put together. Fun times. I actually do find it fun, to be honest. I'm not even joking. Because I'm a nerd and I like building things, so I can do a test play and see how it looks, and I find that really satisfying when something's actually working. My favourite thing about doing this sort of project. Okay, so yeah, I'm not actually using real region restrictions, and there's a reason for that, because with real region restrictions, it's incompatible with TileD, I think, because you have to do them directly in TileD, the region restrictions. But unfortunately, TileD force you to make loads of different layers for each different region, and it would have made the file way too large if I did it that way. So I used a hack to use tile images instead, because there was a way to do that. It's all done through a common event. And I used TileD to do that, but it lets you pick from a few things, but TileD is the easiest for this anyway. So we're building the next map now. Got to make sure it's the right size, so 180, so that'd be 120. Oh, hang on, no, 180. No, it'll be 240. Yeah. Luckily, the coordinates are here in the corner, so it stopped. It's a lot easier to do this. Otherwise, it would take forever to figure out how big this has to be. Because every little map section is 60 by 40, you see. And they're all joined together to make one big map. That's how I approach it. Because when doing the mini maps, they have to really all be the same size to work properly with the setup I've got. Okay, so that's that there. That green section will be the third map. Hi, Cannon, how are you doing? It's wonderful to see you. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thanks for stopping in. How are you doing? How is your writing going and all that fun stuff? Because Cannon's a famous writer, everybody. He works for a top company writing articles about anime. I'm totally not exaggerating. Hi Rose, hi Hinel, how are you doing? It's good to see you. I'm good, how are you? How is the game? Not too bad, Cannon, not too bad. I mean, look at us, stream 172, is it today? It might seem like a large number, but it truly isn't. We're still touching the very tip of the iceberg with the development of this, because that's me. I'm never going to be one of these people that make a game in a month, or one of those. This is a slow going marathon, and it's fun because it's nice to see how it goes. Famous since when? Since I said so. But I hope that it's all going good and on your end. And Cannon is also my DM chat. He's my D&D teacher. He's helped me learn about the wonderful game. Slow but steady, that's the way forward. Yeah, for sure. And how are you doing as well, Hino? Is that a hamster? It's a hamster, isn't it, that? How cute. I thought it was a real hamster at first, but then I looked and I realised it was just a plushie. I'm not well versed in RPGs, but I do know they take a lot of time to do. Yeah, depending on the scope. Sometimes, you can get out a smaller RPG a little bit. Even them will take forever, even smaller ones. But the scope of this project is pretty big, in all honesty, and that's why we're breaking it down into episodes, just to not get overwhelmed with it all. It's so much more freeing to have it be episodic. The world needs more hamsters. Yeah, there's going to be hamsters in Raindrop Chronicles, not even joking, because it's been requested, and it's a request I can't say no to, because any excuse for cute animals, right? MZ is super nice. Oh, it's come out now, hasn't it, Kia? How are you finding it? How are you finding it compared to MV then? I'm very curious about your experience so far. MZ is the new RPG Maker software that's just come out, guys. I'm using MV, which is the one before that. So MV was the latest released until the new one came out the other day. Or the other week, I can't remember what day it was. I'm not switching, which I've said many a times, because I'd have to abandon some fantastic plugins if I did, including TileD. So the last month would have been a complete waste if I go to MZ. Yeah, but I'm glad to hear it's doing well. Barrel versions of hamsters or actual hamsters? Actual hamsters, a giant hamster in particular. Don't know when it'll come in the game. It might not even come in episode 1, to be honest. But it's linked to Chub Cheeks, his character. Sort of pet that he's got. So it'll be whenever the time's right to have it in the game, I guess. Still trying to figure out what the biggest differences are in MZ to MV. Yeah, I'm wondering that too, Ivan. Because what I've seen, I've not really looked into it properly, in all honesty, but from what I've seen, they look very similar. And I'm trying to think, is there really a true difference, like a massive one, like a groundbreaking difference that makes the switch work completely worthwhile? That's what I'm curious about. You know me, I'm a sucker for cute animals. You are, Cannon. Cannon loves rats. Cannon's the rat man. He's got like 10 of them. I'm exaggerating again. Yes, it's very similar to MV. The layer system is cool. It's not just the layer 1 to 4, it's auto layer, which is included. It's super nice. Oh, okay, so the tile set editor is much better than now in MZ. Good. Because in MV it's very poor. And that is why I've gone to TileD, because I could never work in that MV editor, in all honesty. We would not have been able to make the lovely maps that we've got in that. SR Dude has a nice video that details the differences between MZ and MV in 3 minutes. Oh cool, I should have a look at that one, Steno, to see. And, well, I just finished a stream a few hours ago. VOD should be up. Yeah, I'll have a little look. I'm not going to spend all night looking because I've got no intention to switch, but I still want to fulfill my curiosity. But I'm a busy bee, mate. Got a lot to do this weekend if I want to get this trailer done, that's for sure. Okay, so So we've just set up the third map, which means we have to do this. Okay, guys. This looks super complex and it would boggle your brain if you didn't have a clue what it was. But it's really not that confusing because I'm no pro at things like this. I'm not very good when it comes to the coding side of things. You sometimes gotta get your head around it and figure things out if you want to do something cool in your game. Okay, so 3. So we got 1, 2, 3. So yeah, if they touch the number 3, then the other map needs to come up, which is that one. So all it requires is changing the picture of the mini map. That. So just 2 things that we have to change. So it's easy once you've set it up. The setup, doing all these variables and positioning and all that was a little bit time consuming, but it's literally just copy and paste the if statement and change that. Okay, so posted free enemies included with MZ on your creative work section. Awesome, thank you, Kira. I'll have a little peek at that later. Code, I know, no, that's me. That snowman is me when I think of code. So that's why I laugh when people come in stream being like, you a coder lady? Because no, never. Nothing, I mean, I absolutely love how people who are good at it, because I wish I could be like that. But no, it's not my expertise, that's for sure. I may well pick up MZ come payday since it's discounted at the moment. Oh, cool, Azrael, because you were going to be making a game, weren't you? You were going to be making a game, you mentioned it. But guys, I see a few of you are going to be getting it then as well. So make sure if you do any projects, you post screenshots and create work if you're not shy. Because, you know me. I like to see what everybody's working on. Even though I'm a busy bee, I still like to see. Paid $60 since HMV already on the top of the pre-order special. My goodness. Okay, so we're gonna do a test play to see if that works, if map 3 actually appears. And if it does, we can do all the map 4, 5, 6 and 7 together then. Okay, so here we are. We might get a few FPS drops though, guys, because of everything my computer's doing. Okay, so it has worked, we're good. And the reason we're walking over everything right now, I didn't want to set up the collisions first because I want to be able to test this quickly by walking over everything. So yeah, it seems it's working. So that's the edge of Blessed Cascade. I might need to make a slight edit to the mini maps because I've noticed that the white player indicator dot goes to the edge. So I might need to just alter them just a touch. Oh yeah, I forgot to do something. I have to move the player indicator across. That's one thing I forgot to do. VX and MV, want to test it out. Most things I want to make should work in RPG Maker and Game Maker, and if nothing else, gives me an excuse to learn JS finally. Yeah, I think you should go for Azrael. I think that'd be awesome. And some people still use VX, you know. And I heard VX was quite a good one. In some ways, it was better than MV. Because MV, some people, I mean, this isn't coming from me, but some people weren't too happy with MV because it, like, sacrificed things for the sake of being on more platforms like mobile. I don't know if there's any truth in that, but VX was just for PC, I believe, and they didn't need to do things to appeal to mobile. So in some ways it was a better program. But I don't know, this could be coming from MV haters, but I can see why that kind of would make sense. Okay, so I'm not sure what size the maps are. I think they were 360 by 220, so in that case it would have to move across the x-axis by 360 pixels if we for that one. So there is a little bit of setup to do. I kind of lied when I said you only need to change the picture and the region ID, because you do need to sort of compensate for the player indicator positioning, but it's fine once you get into the groove of it. Like, it's not easy to do, because I think this mini map is done completely by it's a non-plugin solution. This mini map it's not done with a plugin, it's just completely done with these if statements. But sometimes you don't want to rely completely on plugins. Sometimes it's nice to do something this way. I'm reluctant to get MZ. I don't feel like paying full price when I already have MV. Yeah, I mean, if MV works for you, stick to it. I mean, I'm not going for MZ, and it all just depends what it offers. Like, if MZ is going to benefit you, then it totally makes sense where someone would switch if it's got features that MV doesn't have. But if it's really not going to benefit you or make things worse for your project, then it's probably better to stay. Mobile isn't a platform I would consider yet anyway. Market is too flooded. Yeah, I can say with all certainty Raindrop Chronicles will not be on mobile. In the past there was a question mark on it. There was a possibility, but I can say now we're adding more stuff like larger maps. It's just not going to work on mobile. It'll be too much memory for mobile to take, and I just don't think it's the sort of game for mobile anyway. The scope is too big, even just episode 1. I want to make a proper RPG, you know, and yeah. So PC is really where it's at for Raindrop Chronicles. I posted a full picture from MZ for everyone should check out Creative Works right now. See, definitely one of the best. Yeah, everybody have a little look. I'm sure some people will have a peek. It seems to be the most popular channel in my Discord, the Creative Work one. Looking at Steam, MZ does not have a Linux version, but MV does. How odd, oh really? Interesting. I wonder why they decided to not do that this time and what the reason for that was. I don't know, the numbers in mobile at the moment, but I know average 20-ish games are uploaded to Steam daily. Yeah, even Steam is more saturated than it was, but it all depends on what platform is best for your game, doesn't it? And mobile, definitely not for Raindrop Chronicles. Probably be a later release, I bet. Yeah, maybe. Have to look into that one. Maybe the answers are on the RPG Maker website somewhere. Okay, so I want to test this again. I said I was going to do a trivia, didn't I? And I didn't, but I'll give you a warning again, guys, about the trivia. I'll put it in a couple of mins. Okay, so I think I've managed to get. I'm not showing you the test play, guys. My bad. Let me put it up. Okay, it works. So the maps are working fine with the system I've got in place. The only flaw with them is that when they walk to the edge of the map, it hides the indicator a bit, so I do want to sort that out, but that's just something small that I can sort out off stream. But I'm glad the maps are actually working. Okay, so yeah, we want to do all 7. So what you see here in TileD, I'll hide the collision there because it makes our map look messy. But what you see here, we're going to do that same shape in MV. This is MV. So the 4th map. Okay, so that's the right size. The 5th one is this one. Look at all the pretty colours. Probably a later update, yeah. MZ will probably be even better in a couple of years because there'll just be more features, more plugins, and it would have been, you know, a lot of people spend a lot of time on these plugins to make the RPG Maker engine super good, but you know, it takes time to do that. They're not all going to come out overnight. That's why, yeah, that's why MV is good, because there's just more on there. And cool plugins. Okay. Okay, I think that's the right size. 60, yep. Okay. So this is the last one now. So yeah, we've got all our regions set up now. Most plugin makers are already working on it. I know all YAM flies are being worked on. Yeah, that's super good that they're going to be ported over, because people weren't sure at first, I don't think, because YAMFly retired. So that's pretty cool. I don't have any idea whether TileD will ever be made compatible with MZ though. I'm not sure whether the creators of that plugin are intending to do it for that. No idea, because I don't think if they've said or not, I'm not sure. But considering, you know, you guys said the editor's going to be better in MZ, might not matter too much. So we've just got player region 4, 5, 6 and 7 to do. This will be a handy job done. I'm glad to get our mini maps added. Okay, so now let me think of the positioning. I think it will just have, yeah, another 240 added on it, or yeah, maybe. Might have to do a test of that one as well to make sure. I'm going to put a trivia in chat, guys. As I said, I promised I'm not going to tease you all. Eventually we'll add more questions to this trivia, but it's not priority right now because I'm so busy, but Eventually we'll have a whole long list of trivia questions. Van, it was a typo at first, but luckily you got in the right spelling before anybody else could say, so GG. There we go. 20. That is a lot of points. Well done, Van, for being an expert on Raindrop Chronicles lore. My finger fumbled. Well, you succeeded. Yay, we got it in the right position. I'm smart. I'm super happy that the player indicator is actually exactly where it should be. So if I go in here where the door is, I'm directly in front of the building, just like it should be. It took forever to get that player indicator in the right position. Okay. So now the next map. Oh my goodness, look at all those huge amount of raindrops. Azrael. Are you proud? Shakes Fix, I look away from it to find something to make a playlist. Don't worry guys, I'll always try and give you a warning before a trivia. I'm going to try and always do it that way so nobody gets taken by surprise. So that you're prepared. Okay. Region 5. Which should be where the cave is. The place called Tallstone Mountain. Which is to the left of Silent Haven. So this one would be... This one would have the 360 taken off it, I think. We'll have to do a test, but I'll do the test at the end now. I'll do all three first. Okay, this one, I think that is it. I'm not 100% sure. Oh, hang on. I think I put it on the wrong one. There we go. Now the last one. We've got all seven maps in now, from 1 to 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The reason why we've got a script to erase the pictures from 1 to 90, the reason why that's there, in case anyone was curious why we have that script, is because those pictures will be the things like quest markers and enemy indicators on the mini map. And they will all obviously always have to disappear and change between maps because there'll be different enemies and different things on each map. So that's why that's there. You have to be a bit faster, Smirks. I have to pay more attention. That's what happens when I work and listen to Rose. All you work lurkers. I hope work's treating you nicely, Azrael. I hope so. There we go. So I think the only change that needs to be made here is getting rid of that. I might have got these positionings wrong, but we'll have to see. That's what we'll be testing. So as you can see, we've got black borders. It's terrible, but that's how things are going to be like at the moment while we're working on the content we need to finish. But obviously before the first playable build gets released, I don't want to be having black borders like that in the game. It'd be dreadful. So at some point when the list of things to do gets a bit shorter, I'll be working on doing the edges of the bordering maps, so that we don't have that problem. And eventually those maps will probably be visitable maps as well, but they'll probably just be there to fill in the borders for the time being. Okay, looks like that's worked. We've got that in the right position. So I've got to fill up this field area with flowers as well. I only really got a chance to fill half of the map with the flowers yesterday because I really wanted to prioritise educating myself about making this mini-map feature work, as well as the region collision thingies. But it looks like these are all in the right place, so I think we're all good. Now time to fix the trees so we don't walk underneath them and get the unpassable tile on the cliffs. Okay, so everything looks good in regards to the mini-map. That wasn't too bad at all. And when we make new maps in the future, it'll all follow that same system. And it's easy now, I know what to do. So there was just something visual, a small little visual problem on the edge of the map that I wanted to fix, but I'll do that off stream at some point, I think. But it just feels really nice now being able to walk through the forest seamlessly without the fade transfers. Nothing against fade transfers, I don't dislike them. A lot of my favourite games have them. Final Fantasy games, the earlier ones. But I'm kind of a fan of making it feel a little bit more open and immersive if I can. Actually, at the day job today, which means I'm doing anything but my job, listening to Rose reading up on our Maker, trying to find some tutorials that are not 4 to 5 years old. Good luck, Azriel. I'm excited about your game, guys. Vofan and Azriel. Yeah, that's hard to do sometimes as far as finding current tutorials. Yeah. For me, I just tend to whenever I come across a problem, my first thing is to always go on the support RPG Maker forum. That's my usual go-to whenever I'm a little bit stuck with anything. Because I see myself as someone self-taught. I try to work out a problem myself at first, but if I'm finding this is very confusing and I'm feeling very out of my depth, then I'll jump to the support forum. But yeah, sometimes some YouTube tutorials can be very good as well, like those summoner ones that you gave me, Van, and there's others as well. I have no doubt the old ones will work as MV has been around for a while, but always have that fear that newer features will get missed. Yeah. Also, most never touch the code inside so I can learn JS, but how it works in RPG Maker is what I need to see. Azrael is going to be a JS Pro. Could you see yourself making plugins, Azrael, or would you rather like focus on your own game? Okay, so yay, I'm super happy that that's done, the mini maps, because I didn't think we'd get it done that fast. I know I spent a bit of time last night working it out, so that did help us get it done quicker. Probably wouldn't have done it this stream if I didn't spend some of last night looking into it. But successfully so many maps are implemented now that on our new improved map. So now, should we do some collisions for a bit? Because, you know, we don't want to be walking all over the map, do we? We don't want that. Thank you, Stir, for that follow, by the way. Welcome to our stream. How are you doing today? I think I would create for my own games, but anything I make would make available for others as well. Ah, that's nice. You're nicer than me, Azrael, because someone asked me last stream, oh, would you put your custom hero creator tutorial on public? Just disable the comments so you don't get pestered all the time. I was like, no, because it's mine. It's my custom hero thing. I'm selfish. Yeah, thank you for the command as well. Yeah, Star, anyone else who's lurking or popping in for the first time as well, feel free to have a look at our website if you want to find out a bit about our project, and I'm happy to answer any questions as well if you'd like to ask. Although we do have an FAQ, so feel free to have a look through that too. Okay, so let's put our collisions layer back on. I'm trying to think, should we do collisions first or shall I sort out the trees first? Because the trees are pretty confusing, because the bottom part you can't go over, obviously, because of the big trunk in the way, right? So that has to be blocked. But this bit you have to be able to walk behind. So the way it's set up at the moment isn't working. It is working on this current tree because I made it work, but it isn't working on the others yet. But I think I'll do the cliffs and all the hard bit first. I think that'll make it easier on us. So you can always hide the layers just so we don't see too much pink. So Buddha buildings first. Is there a rectangle tool? I could have sworn there was a rectangle tool on tile, but then I downgraded the version, didn't I? And that's probably why it's gone. But the reason I downgraded was because the creator of the plugin recommends that this version's the one that's used, version 1.03, so there isn't any incompatibility problems. So it is a slightly older version of TileD, but it's all good. Okay, cliffs. In fact, I'm actually going to hide the trees and anything that's a bit cluttery. I'm going to hide paths as well while doing this, because it's going to be much easier to do collisions when there's not like a ton of things in the way. So we get a big map, guys, so this might take a bit of time. I wish we had a rectangular tool. It would make things easy for us. I can't seem to find it, and I remember it being there before, so it must be the fact I've downgraded the version why it's gone. So I've noticed lockable layers are gone as well. But oh well. I'll get used to it. And obviously we want the graves to not be something we can walk over. So we'll block them out. Oh, we got to do the water as well. Oh, damn it. This is going to be a bit of a pain in the butt, isn't it? Not having a rectangular tool. I mean, yeah, I don't know if there's any other easy way we can hack this. So we'll just have to do it the slow way. Oh, well. Let's have a nice chill slow stream where we fill in one tile at a time. I don't mind. I can chat to you guys while doing it because this is easy. It doesn't require any concentration. It's just time consuming. I feel like I'm colouring in. I'm doing colouring, and that's very therapeutic. So, do you already have a plan for the townspeople in Lightfall? There's a rapid fire way that includes chat if it's necessary. Hi Nash, how are you doing? What's this idea that includes chat? I'm very intrigued to know. As for the townspeople in Lightfall, I was thinking at some point next month, once we've got all this trailer stuff out the way, after the picture game thing, I'm thinking of like throwing in a few black brainstorm sessions, creative streams where we build the next parts together. So those next parts would include what's going to potentially happen in main quest 3 and 4, the journey, just a rough outline at this stage. We're not going to consider implementing at this time. It'll just be getting the brainstorming ideas out, because I don't want to do any implementing of new content or quests until the current ones are done. But it's always fun to talk about it, just to give ourselves a break from the monotonous tidying and polishing streams. So yeah, it will include talking about main quest 3 and 4, where we might take them, what's going to happen. We'll probably be having polls more often again when we start talking about the new content, because that's when we have the polls a lot. When we have those new content discussions, we don't tend to have polls when we're working on polishing things, do we? Because yeah, it's just not the right time then. But it'll be fun to start doing them again, and it'll also include not just main quest 3 and 4, but side quests, potential side quests we might add. That'll include the NPCs of Lightfall as well, and who they are, what do they do, what's their daily routines, what are their relationships with each other, how will they like the hero if he's a certain moral way or another moral way, like if he's more of a, like, you know, which side quests would these NPCs give the hero, like, and also just general lore building of Lightfall and Everbloom Forest in general, and the history of this place, and thinking of a timeline and all this kind of thing, all these fun things, and that'll be it. Those will be fun streams, and I'll probably, when we do them, we'll get like a massive doc up, and I'll get my thoughts out, like my early ideas, what I've got, and you guys can help us all come up with something cool. And you should only need to do the edges, not the whole lake. Oh, that's a good point, Azrael. In all honesty, that's smart. Because you know, if the edges are blocked off, we don't need to go in the water, do we? They'd be blocked off, so it wouldn't let us go in anyway. I've already started. That's the problem, and I don't want to delete after all this hard work. In all honesty, maybe I'm alone here, but I get a bit confused if I only did the edges. Filling it all in makes me know what I've done and what I haven't done, if that makes sense, although I do think it's a really smart idea and the sensible approach. Like, I'm making life harder on myself doing it this way. But there's something that's a bit tidier about filling it in, but I could just use a paintbrush bucket tool to do that, I guess. So I could do the edges and then just fill in with the paint bucket. That makes more sense if I want it to look tidy. Thank you, Azrael, because little me wouldn't have even realised that probably. So what I'm going to do now is just do the edges and just use the paint bucket tool to fill in the middle. I was going to say high STEM, but then I've realised you've been here this whole time. I'm a derp. Okay, so it would be like an event or an advertised thing where viewers just throw townsperson quotes out into chat for one part of the stream. Then those quotes get curated in another part of the stream or in the next stream where the quotes get paired with the description of what the character would look like. Yeah, I think something like that would be awesome. I'm all for having like improv streams and all that kind of thing where all of us just say things in chat. Like it wouldn't be forced upon viewers, of course. Not everybody has to take part in that, because I know some people would be shy, but if you wanted to, then that would be fantastic, because we could come up with all sorts of cool dialogue ideas, couldn't we? I think so. And yeah, although like we have in the very early streams, like stream 1 and 2 in particular, we did establish some like full NPCs and give them a name and a personality, but I can see them being amended, you know, I can see them being changed somewhat so that it's better. We don't have to rigidly stick with the NPCs that we've got. Obviously Nigel and Fiona Bookington, yes, because they're part of the first quest. But as for the other several NPCs we've got, we can change them if we feel they'll be better a different way. That'll be things we'll discuss. We'll talk about who we've got so far and if they need a change or a character transformation to make them even more cool. Also, I filled in the water there, but all this cliff's going to have to be filled in as well. But I'll do water first, just so it's out the way. Better to do one thing first, I find, so I don't get confused. But yeah, I'm personally a fan of you guys having high input on dialogue and stuff, because if it's all me that's doing it, if I'm the only person that's going to come up with that, then everything is the risk of sounding the same, doesn't it? It'd be cool to get all those different tones of voice in. But that's what we did. We sort of did that, didn't we, when we had the fruit scene? I think that we did a good job, guys, like when we did the fruit dialogue scene of like coming up with a fruit dialogue and fruit puns together. But it'll be fun to like do it together whenever we have those streams. And the first job I'll be getting like all ideas down. Because like I think a lot of you are with me that we want to flesh these NPCs out. So many times I've gone on like forums and all those sort of things, Reddit, etc., and people are like, but they're just NPCs, doesn't matter, they could just stand there and do nothing. And I'm like, no, why should they? Like, you know, doesn't hurt to make a world feel more alive and real, and I always think that's a step that can do that by giving the NPCs like a bit of personality. And that also, I mean, obviously that includes good dialogue, that's a big one, but another one to me that can do that in a good way is by giving them daily routines. their movements on the map, for example, so it's not just them just standing there. Because in a lot of RPGs, when you go to villages, they tend to just stand there, don't they? A lot of NPCs, that's the usual way of doing it. They just stand there and wait for you to talk to them. But I think it's cool to actually make them actually have program, like script them a daily routine. It's hard work, don't get me wrong, it's extra work, but something that can just help with the immersion, to just put in that extra little bit of effort. Like, for example, there could be one who is the town drunk, who knows, and he'd spend the day in the cafe and being there doing things, and then he'd come out, go to bed drunk and things like that. No, that's why one of the rules in RPGs was talk to everyone. Everyone had information for you. Yeah, and that's always fun as well. I remember, like, as a kid, I could never not talk to an NPC. I had to talk to every single one, because I didn't want to miss a single thing. My favourite NPC idea, like, we had one. I think we called her Margaret. She's an old lady in Lakeful. I mean, we can always develop her further and make her a little bit different if we want, but at the moment, at her most basic level, she's the town gossip. She's like an old lady gossiper, and I love that sort of NPC, the gossip personality, because it's an excuse for the player to find out what's been going on and about the town, get knowing all the business. Okay, so we got a lot to fill in. So we've done all the water now, but we got cliffs to do as well. Whoa, okay. So cliffs now. And we'll do this the same way. We'll just do the edges. And we'll use the fill tool to fill them in. Just because I know what's been done and what hasn't then if I use the fill tool. Luckily, if you hold down shift while doing this, it draws the line for you. Also, these parts here, these cliffs here, is something I need to work on too, because I don't like the super straight line on them. And although a lot of trees hide them anyway, I'm still going to make sure that those are a little bit less straight. So just that doing, there's a few little glitches in some of the cliffs, as well as putting down the rest of the flag. That's what I'm going to do tonight. I hope you guys all like the colour pink, because this map is going to be plastered with this soon. It's only going to be the grass parts that aren't covered in it. Probably might have been easier to actually fill it all in pink, to be honest, and erase the bits that we walk on, but we've started now, so... That's one of your least favourite. Oh no. Oh no. a good colour. Depends on the shade. We don't need to do that. We can fill that in now. Gotta just put some lines here. What's your favourite colour then, Van? If you don't like pink, what is your favourite? And that goes for everybody in chat, actually. I feel like I should ask you now what your favourite colour is. Yay, edge is done. Okay, so there's a gap somewhere here. Thank goodness for the paint bucket tool. Just because, you know, it's nice to see it all filled in, because you know you've done it then. Okay, we missed a bit. There. So everything that's brown, basically, we have to fill in now at this point. Oh, we got a building there to fill in as well, but we'll do that after. So should we do left to right? Yeah, we'll do left to right. Orange? Well, it is the colour of your name, so that makes sense. Your Twitch name. You like an emerald green? That's a good colour. I actually don't have a favourite colour, guys, because I think every colour in the world is beautiful in its own way and has a certain, like, appeal to it. But in fact, I don't like certain shades. Like, I'm not a fan of dull colours. I usually like more either vibrant colours or pastel colours. I don't like bogey green or anything like that, but I do think some, like you say, emerald green, that's a nice one. Bogey green is like this. That's bogey green. I love how I says don't like bogey green, but yet the whole of the Everbloom Forest is a bogey green. But you know, it's still pretty. Hello, wee wee. How are you doing? Welcome to the stream. My accent. I'm glad you like it. Hope you're having a good day. Happy Friday, by the way. Oh, this green bit needs filling in as well, actually, so we don't actually walk on that. Everywhere that's like lime, bogey green is where you need to walk. But I suppose the ladders as well, so we've got to be careful not to block those off. Teal and tea green look very nice, yeah. Even some shades, I mean, I'm hating on bogey green, but in all honesty, some shades of bogey green can even be nice. No colours are bad. Is anyone doing anything cool this weekend? Or are you going to be like me, guys? You're going to just be a hermit? I've been a hermit this whole entire year. But then again, I've been like that every year of my life in the last 8 years, so... Hermit life as always, Raz. Yeah, everybody's a hermit here. I'm curious if anyone here actually is an outdoorsy person and goes out all the time though. But usually people who are like nerds like us, most of us, are hermits. Got to love it. After all that searching, there is a built-in tutorials and documentation in Envy. Oh really? I hope it's a good one. Has it answered all your questions, Azriel? Yeah, it took a while for me to understand TileD's documentation. Yesterday for sure, when I was trying to figure out how regions work. I've still got the display capture, and I just realised then when I got my bot up. So I've got to make sure that's hidden, because at least covers the basics. I can Google bits as I need them from there. Oh, do you want to tell us what you read, what in particular you're looking into, Azriel, or is it a secret? I'm curious. This is a nice, easy stream though. Very chill. Getting there, and we still have the trees to do after this, but I don't know if I want to jump into doing the trees straight after doing this. Might want to do something else just for a break, but the trees will have to get done at some point. Not at all outdoorsy. My wife has commented that lockdown is perfect for me because I can be as I mean, that's the same for me really. It hasn't given me any issues at all, the lockdown, because I find staying inside easy. But I do feel sorry for people that do like the outdoors. There's been a farmer's market that just started up near my house, but the first week it wasn't quite set up and we've been busy on Saturday since then. So this weekend I'd like to go check it out again. Oh cool. Well, you're much braver than me, Matt, because I'm scared to go outside. I hope you have a nice time. Nothing specific yet. I prefer just looking up small elements than following a make a complete game series, as you get dependent on tutorials that way. Yeah, and you don't want to be like, you know, find yourself in a position where you rigidly have to make a game a certain way either. It's more creative to go your own way with what you think is awesome. Did you say you were interested? I think you said you were interested in making an RPG, didn't you, Azriel? Like an actual RPG, whereas Van wants to do a visual novel. which is also a really cool project. And I think you can pull off a visual novel in RPG Maker, right? Oops, did I delete that? I did. Probably not like Rempe might offer more, but is it Rempe? That's the visual novel one, isn't it? But RPG Maker definitely with its dialogue boxes, and you can have busts, like if you like to like the assets of, so you know, that works in that. I grew up on JRPGs, so it's my comfort zone. Yeah, me too. Like, that's why, you know, I like the nostalgia, like the turn-based. Some people might be like, I mean, I might be assuming here, but I know there are people out there that are like, oh, why turn-based? Because turn-based gets this unfair rep of being like outdated or something. Like, everybody thinks, well, not everybody at all, but a lot of people think that action RPG is the way to go now, and I just disagree. Like, turn-based is fun, and you know, that's my jam, that's my thing. I've struggled to I find with action RPGs I tend to not complete the game because it's not my thing as much. It's not my passion like turn-based is. I mean, some of them are good, don't get me wrong, like Dark Souls is action and I really enjoyed that series, but in all honesty, I don't know if I would have completed Dark Souls if I wasn't streaming it, to be quite honest. I only completed it because people had really liked watching me stream that back in the day. But I probably would have just got far too salty for it if I did it on my own. Rempe is a standard for VNs, but in theory RPG Maker should be fine. Yay. You can do it then. I was thinking about Drunk giving details on the previous reptile conflict, like they'd been there. Instead, maybe they had gotten drunk with those people and their information is second or third hand. That's interesting. That'd give a little bit more depth to a drunk person rather than them just be nothing but a drunk. Like, be like an accidental snitch or something. That could be quite interesting as well. I'm going to copy and paste what you say, National, because I might want to take these ideas and information into our brainstorming session when we get around to having one. What are some of your favourites? Never played any. What, as in favourites of what? Visual novels or turn-based? You might be asking chat, not me. I've completely forgot what. I think it might be visual novels that you meant, Raid. Tend to enjoy turn-based much more. Yeah, I feel like a whole load of action RPGs come off as generic. Yeah, I think it's because so many do it now. It's so common, the action RPG thing is. It doesn't feel special anymore, like action RPGs, because you see them all the time. And there's something special about turn-based because it feels like they're so rare nowadays. Back in the day, you got them more often, but not now. Doki Doki Literature Club was good too, yes. Oh my god, that game. That was definitely one of a kind, that game was. I enjoy both, to be fair, but I'm more used to turn-based. For action RPGs, I tend to think it fits better with 3D for the art style. Yeah, and I'm not hating on action RPGs at all, like when I'm saying I like turn-based more, because some action RPGs are great. Like, look at Chrono Trigger, for example, and that's a 2D one that had a very good action sort of battle system. But what I don't like is how people think they're the be all end all, and you know, it has to be that now, because not necessarily at all. I've also been playing Cinderella Phenomenon right now. It is free, but the game is very good. Oh really? What's that about? What is it? Is it secretly a creepy game then? Because the name of it sounds like nice and very pleasant. But Doki Doki was like that. You think, oh, this game is very, very nice, and it's just not. No spoilers, because I don't want to spoil for anyone that hasn't played that game, so I won't be revealing anything at all. Oops, I accidentally covered over the ladder. Don't want to do that. DDLC is awesome. Just heard about AI, honestly, just a few hours ago. It seems great also. It's just so, I appreciate that game because it really did something different in the genre, you know, Doki Doki. It turned things on its head. And I always like that in games. It's something, well, in storytelling in general, not just games. To do the unexpected, but in a really clever, smart way, not just the unexpected for the sake of it, if you know what I mean. Yeah, I'd like to make it in MZ rather than learning a bunch of code for Python. Yeah, I've heard that it's not the easiest, is it, Rampy, to get your head around. And you're like me, Van, you don't want to waste time with code. You want to get down to it with the storytelling and the game design and world building and all that sort of thing. The only action RPG I've really played that I've enjoyed, Tales of. The main reason is for the co-op combat with my wife. The Tales, I've heard that the Tales series is really good, in all honesty, and it's been recommended to me a few times by people. And they're on Steam, I believe, and are they on PlayStation as well? PlayStation 4? Oh, yeah. It's just time nowadays. Playing an RPG is a time sink, isn't it? Because they can be very long. But I've always had my eye on them, that's for sure. So, there we go. We're getting there, guys. We're getting those cliffs filled in. Oops, we accidentally filled in something we shouldn't have. Let's get it opaque a bit. Put the opacity down a bit so we can actually see and get it back. VNs tend to get a bad reputation, unfortunately. You mean bad? As most the ones released are 18+ content, trying to be diplomatic, which is a shame, as they are a fantastic way to tell a story. Oh really? How come they're 18+? Is it because it's violent or lewd? Interesting. A fairy tale sort of game. It's not like Doki Doki, has good and bad endings, but not like Doki Doki, more like fairy tale sort of badness. Oh yeah, I was gonna say, it sounds like a very more nice game. Nice, I'm trying to think that's the best word for it, like one where it's not creepy. But after Doki Doki, I don't trust games anymore, because they make it seem very nice, but then it ends up being horrifying. But that's good. No complaints from me. I like the unexpected. Oops, I think we accidentally deleted. No, that's fine to delete that. Just checking. What do you think of games that are more turn-based tactics? I think they're really good. I've never played Final Fantasy Tactics or games similar to it, but I think there's definitely an appeal to them, and I've wanted to give them a go. I like the strategic sort of approach that those games have, like gameplay wise. I think that there's I think that's fun. Something where you have to think what you're going to do, what actions you're going to take, rather than... Whereas action games don't let you do that, do they? It's all about your skills with action games, how good you are at pressing buttons fast and effectively, which, in all honesty, I'm bad at that. I suck at that. I'm not one for that. Just never been a fast gamer or a skilled gamer. I prefer to be sly and think things through. That's why I think I like card games, like Gwent, for example. Yeah, most anime visual novel games tend to be a little bit lewd because they verge on being hentai. Some of them do, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's some out there that aren't like that, but definitely some are. Mia, thank you so much for the host. How are you doing, Mia? I hope you're having a wonderful day. The story's interesting too. The music is decent. You play Valkyria Chronicles, right? It's basically a tactical RPG. Yes. Valkyria Chronicles is a JRPG I really liked. I thought the gameplay in that was really unique. I've not seen anything like it done like that, and I really enjoyed it. I 100% completed it. I enjoyed it that much. And no, hi Mia, how are you doing? How are things going for you? How's life? How's the streams? How's the cat adoption stuff treating you? Let us know everything, Mia. And guys, make sure you check out Mia's car. I think a lot of you, if you don't know Mia here, then sort it out. Mia also has a very, very good singing voice, believe it or not. I went into Mia's stream the other day and I couldn't believe it. I never knew you could sing, Mia, that well. I was shocked. Sort your lives out and check out Mia. Yeah, everybody should check out all my friendos. We should all follow each other. And I know a lot of you want to start streaming as well, because I've heard you say so. Peeps in chat right now. So just make sure you let me know if you do, so I can follow and give you some love and raid some days, maybe even. Do you really want me to answer that? It's not a positive answer. Oh no, what isn't? Is it really bad? Is it to do with the cat? Oh no, if it's something sad about animals, then I will probably cry. So I hope it isn't. Nanodide didn't get the cat and I've been too sad to stream, so 10 out of 10. Oh my god, man. You know, what is with this month? Because I'm not one for talking about this sort of stuff on stream. I actually like discourage it because I want our stream to be escapism, but in all honesty, why? What is going on? Because my nan passed away and so did Chub Cheeks, his nan. So it's just 2020, isn't it? It's a depressing year. It's a little messed up, yeah, but I'm coping. Well, let's give some hugs to Mia, everybody, because I don't like it when my friend dies. Are sad, and we're here for you, Mia, and we hope things get better. So, do I have a hug emote actually? Hugs for Mia. month, year, this whole year has been big. Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, what's with this month? But it's very true, it's the whole year. It's just not stopping. 2021 better be good, because if not, I'm gonna riot. It's gonna be good, guys. 2021 is gonna be good. We know we gotta have some hope, haven't we, in this world, for good things to come. Otherwise, what would we do? Thank you for giving me a son of... Oh my goodness, Sexy, how are you doing? I've missed you. How are things? 2020 is definitely Pluto getting back at us for demoting him as a planet. Oh my goodness, remember that. I remember when I was at school and I found out that Pluto was no longer a planet, and it actually genuinely upset me, because I was a bit of a planet nerd. And I felt really sad for Pluto. On the upside, still looking for a kit. Yeah, good luck with that. I really hope you get one, because I think cats are lovely pets. I can say so myself, as an owner of a cat for 20 years of my life. Don't have that cat anymore. She passed away a few years ago, but she had a really good life. Made sure of it. She lived 20 years. That's a really big age for a cat. I sure hope for that. Also, Zexa, we have to give you your avatar. I've just realised, because we've got 2 Rexes on the screen. Let me remember this command. Avatar. Can't remember if it's avatar change first. I always forget this command. So fingers crossed to get it right. Yeah, I got it right. Oh no, I didn't. It says that my character. Gotta fix it. Yeah, I think it's changed before avatar. This is the stream avatars command, guys, in case you're confused what I'm doing. It's to change people's avatar when they come in the stream, if they are a community character. You only have to do it once. Once it's done. But you can't do it until the person comes in the stream. Right, so let's get it right. Yay, I think we did it. Yay. I think the movie 2012 came too early. I know, right? My goodness, remember that year? Like, people actually thought the world was going to end. It like doesn't seem that long ago at all. But it was like 8 years ago. What the hell? Okay, how far are we through these regions, guys? Okay, we're nearly done. We've just got a bit of cliff left. So if anyone's curious what we're doing, guys, we recently, in the last few weeks, how long ago was it now? About 3 weeks ago, maybe, have decided to do things a little bit differently with our map compared to how it was originally. We don't do parallax mapping anymore. Parallax mapping is like basically images as maps, PNGs. We've gone back to tile sets, and we're using a very nifty program called TileD to do it. A wonderful, well, 2 wonderful human beings made compatible with RPG Maker MV. And it's the TileD is just a brilliant editor, much better than MV by default. It allows us to have very detailed maps, so we're not sacrificing the detail that the parallax maps gave us at all, which is lovely. And we have to redo collisions now, and this is why you see a ton of pink squares off the screen right now, because we got to make all that unpassable, because we can't have us walking all over the cliffs. So we're done. We'd sort of done, but we got to still deal with a few things. Is this still part of Everbloom Forest, or is it a new region? This is the Everbloom Forest. It's exactly what I think you probably remember the Everbloom Forest, don't you, Zex? It's the same 7 maps that we had originally, but I'm intending to eventually expand into other regions for side quest content. Like expand the Everbloom Forest to a even larger map with more little rectangles on it, because this is 7 maps and it's fantastic, but we can do more eventually for sure, because we're going to be working on brainstorming new content next month for the next main quests, and that will be fun. I'm not going to be implementing it yet or anytime soon. No, it'll just be brainstorming right now, because I want to finish and perfect and polish what we've already got, so it's ordered and ready for an official first playable build. Otherwise, the first playable build will never be released. Otherwise, if we don't polish what we've already done. Yeah, so you removed the parallax map and replaced it. Got you, yeah. There was a few reasons for why I decided to do that. It was ultimately so we could have more seamless maps, and we could get more ambitious with them, and it gives a more open feel to the world, rather than having lots of little mini rectangles stuck together with like fade-ins and fade-outs in between them. And yes, I'm happy. We've basically done it. It's all there. Where are we? Let's get the paths back. There's just a few flowers to re-add to these three areas, 3 maps, but everywhere else is done. And we're working on collisions today. That's kind of been our goal. And I've got a little document here as well. Where is it? To-do list. I don't usually plan streams like this so rigidly. I usually go with the flow and see where streams, how I feel on the day for what sort of stream it's going to be. But I want to get a trailer done for the 25th of August. I think we got lag. Has our stream crashed? Oh, we're back now. We're back. Those ramps are really clever. The map is looking really good. Thank you, Zax. I appreciate the kind words. I am pleased with it. I've done some play tests and it just feels much more. Now we're doing it this way instead. It just feels much more of a pleasure to walk through than what it was before. I'm glad I've done away with the whole transfer events in between the maps. But with parallax maps, it had to be done like that because they take up so much memory, and it's not possible to have one giant image for a parallax map. So that's why it had to all be broken up. Okay, so yeah, one thing we need to do is re-add the enemies on the map. We've done the mini maps now, huzzah! That's all done. And we've kind of half done the collision. We've got to do the trees though. And yeah, fill in the flowers. So we're getting there, guys. Monday stream's going to be about re-adding the scenes to the map. So that will be the fruits, the Fiona Buckington scene, and all the other things. So yeah, we're basically just rebuilding it because I've started a complete new project. Actually, this is it. So we've got a complete blank database again. I decided I'd rather do that than just try and tidy up the old project. The old project is a mess. The switches, the variables are all over the place. And I started thinking this whole thing needs tidying up so we can do it in a more organised way. So I'll probably just be copying and pasting the old project over to the new one, so it's not really that bad. But I'm going to just make sure it's all far more organised than it was before. And what you see here is just our maps, so that we can change the mini map when walking between regions. Okay, so I'm going to go back in TileD. Let's see the trees. Actually, let's do a test play because I want to see how the trees are behaving. I want to do the trees in the easiest way possible, but it's going to be a bit of a challenge because trees can be confusing. Here we go, let's get it up. So this is the tree we've done. It's exactly how it should be. You can walk behind it, you can't walk over it, so that's perfect. But with this one, it's flawed, obviously, because you're not meant to be able to walk underneath, so we'll have to fix that. I don't think we have to do the small trees. They seem like they're completely fine. You can walk around them. It's just these big trees that we have to do. And then it's done. The map is done. I'll be so happy. I'll be celebrating when this map's done, because it's took us a couple of weeks, 2 or 3, maybe even 4 weeks. I can't remember the day we decided to switch now. I think it was about 3 weeks ago. And so because of that, we haven't been able to really think about the new content yet, or polish the old content, because we've been busy getting all this reorganized. But it's going to be better. The gameplay experience is going to benefit from it, and that's what matters, isn't it? Hi Chub Cheeks, how you doing? It's good to see you. That looks really nice. Since you started a new project, did you keep the character creator you made? Oh yes, don't you worry guys, the character creator's still going to be there. Because it's a new project, I will have to copy and paste all the conditional branches over into the common event, which is easy enough. Literally, I'm going to just select it all, copy and paste. It'll be right there. Make sure all the images are in the folders and named correctly. It's not too difficult, the job. It'd probably take about 10 minutes to get that copied and pasted over. And then everything will work the same. So really the only thing I'm going to be redoing is making sure the variables and switches are tidier and in a more orderly way now, how they're presented, because I was getting really confused by how I had them all. They were all over the place in the old project. And yes, I forgot. I was going to say something, but I forgot now. Oh yes, as for the custom hero creator, there is a second version of it now. It's had a slight update, and I'm going to be putting that up on the YouTube video. I'm going to be replacing the old one with the new one because I think it's better. It's a slight change. It's a very, very slight change, but it's so much better and allows your hero to be much more fluid, because we've got it was posted on Twitter recently, but I'll probably be posting another tweet about it in the future too. And Police, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Hi Sorter, how you doing? You are really getting those raindrops quickly, aren't you? Good job. Good job, Sorter. Liking how cluttered it is at the bottom. Now look at all you guys walking across the screen. I like it. It's always fun to say. I'm going to be putting a trivia in chat, guys, in a bit. So get ready to have all the questions prepared to answer. All the answers to the trivia, by the way, folks, for anyone who's lurking or just coming in, are in the Law Bible. So yeah, every answer, most of them are in there somewhere. How do you get a cool screen person at the bottom? Oh, how do you get this at the bottom? Are you asking about what that is? It is a tool called Stream Avatars Scratch. It lets any stream have any avatars they want walking across. It's a pretty cool one. You might have seen it on some other streams too, because I've seen a few streams use it. But the particular characters we have for our avatars are the ones that we have in our game's characters. One day there will be a huge crowd of us down there. Imagine if one day it's so full that you can't see any of the light brown bit, that you can't see any of the floor. Well, you'd still see it at the top and round the edges, but imagine if it was like that. Would be crazy. And it's very possible because I'm kind of encouraging now to get more NPCs submissions, because I can see at the end of the game, maybe not this early, but towards the end of development in many years to come, I can see us having a couple of 100 NPCs, and I think that's totally doable because Lakefall itself has about a dozen NPCs as an idea of how highly we're going to populate it, and there'll be even bigger towns and cities than Lakefall, and they can have a couple of dozen, if not more, NPCs populating. So I think it's doable to have a couple of 100 NPCs. But as for playable heroes, playable characters, there's 50 max limit. So that you might have noticed on the website now, guys, that the submissions are closed for playable characters because we have a lot right now, and it's going to reopen again in 2021, January 2021, with a higher raindrop requirement for playable characters. So it'll be more. It'll either be twice or 3 times as much, the raindrops for that. But we'll see when the time comes, because it's hard to judge right now. We'll judge next year. Oh my goodness, Layla, thank you so much for that raid. I appreciate that. How are you guys doing? Welcome to the stream, everyone. DF, welcome. DF Lux, Lassamat, Layla, Stuart the Coder. Hi, Stuart. J Cubed. Hi, guys. How are you doing? How was your stream? I appreciate you bringing your community over. That's very kind of you to come over to us. So let's give Layla a shout out and see what you're up to. I'm assuming science and technology. Let's see if I'm right. Yeah, I was right. How was your stream? What did you do? Tell us what you was up to, guys. How did it go? Run and hide, as Riel says. Thank you so much for the follows as well, by the way, guys. Lassamat, Cryptic, Maester Kuro, I appreciate the follows. Doggos everywhere. Doggos everywhere is a good thing, for sure. Who doesn't love doggos? And thank you, Layla, for that follow as well. Appreciate it, guys. We're trying to build a Cluedo Star Murder Mystery chatbot. That sounds really fun. That sounds awesome. I'll have a peek in there. Can't go wrong with Murder Mystery, can you? It's always fun. And Silicon, welcome to the stream as well, guys. So for anyone who's just popping in with that raid, if you're curious what we do here, we make a 2D RPG in this stream. I'm the solo developer, and chat help me come up with the best story and best ideas and best world building possible, so we can make the best game ever. Well, we try our best, but it's fun so far. We're doing well. We're working on episode 1 content. We're working on getting our first playable build perfected right now. So if any of you want to have a little closer look of what our project's about, we do actually have a website. We've got an FAQ section on there. If any of you have got questions, feel free to have a peek. And there's more on there. You can have your own character in the game as well. You can fill in a submission form, create your own NPC, but you need 1,000 raindrops in the stream to do that. So yes, it requires a high amount of stream currency, but it's a cool thing. I like people, community members, getting to put their own little touch into the game. It's always fun to see what creative ideas people can come up with for characters. That's what these guys are here walking at the side, by the way. Folks that are in stream that have their own characters. Awesome. How are you building the game? What language? Oh, it's made with RPG Maker, which is JavaScript. So I'm not actually a coder. I'm more of just a nerd. I'm more of just an RPG nerd with a passion for RPGs and storytelling, who has a very, very who's had a long-term goal to create an RPG, because I love them so much. So yes, RPG Maker's a great one, because it's generally it's not too much of a complicated engine to use, but there's been challenges, there's been limitations, but we're doing good so far. It looks fab, thank you. Rose is a great developer. She has a lot more patience and work ethic than I could, for sure. Oh, thank you for the kind words and for having my back sexy. I appreciate that. But yeah, I do. I guess I do with patience and a lot of determination, because we're on stream 172 today. It's we've been doing this for just over a year now on stream. It's a slow process. It's not going to be one of these games that are done overnight, that's for sure. It's going to be a years long thing, and it's episodic as well, so that makes things easier for us. We don't have to wait 10 years for the game to be done. We'd be a bit more like 2 years instead for an episode, rather than a decade. But yes, it's been a learning process, because I'm very new to this whole thing. And episode 1 will probably take the longest to develop out of all the episodes we do. By the time we begin the second episode, we'll have got the framework there, and I'll be a bit more experienced. So I've always said episode 1 will take the longest to release. There always are. I have to head out as I have to conduct an interview, have a lovely stream. Yeah, thank you, and you get going. I definitely know I'm one of those that rush off as well after raiding, because I'd always need my dinner. But thanks so much for stopping by and for the chats. I appreciate it, and I hope the interview goes well. And take care. And Jock, thank you for the follow as well. Welcome to the stream. Welcome, Vikes. It's lovely to meet you all. Angel as well, thank you for that follow. I missed that one. I hope I haven't missed anyone else out. But thanks for hanging out, guys. It's always lovely to meet new people. Let me know if you like RPGs, those of you coming in, and what your favourite one is, if you do have a favourite. Can you run around the world a little so we can sightsee? Yeah, sure. I was actually in the middle of doing a test play just as you came in, funnily enough, because we've recently given an overhaul to our maps that we've been doing. We used to do parallax maps, and we've changed to tile sets. The default editor for the engine is pretty limited, so I'm using a different one called TileD to do it. That's a lot more gives us a lot more freedom and flexibility with the tile sets we can create, which is great. So we're in the middle at the moment. Today's stream, we're sorting out collisions and stuff, because at the moment the trees are a bit messed up. We can walk behind them, so that's working fine, but we need to sort the trunks out, because we shouldn't be walking underneath them like that. And just a few bits and bobs to tidy up, like the rope as well. As you can see, we're walking over that at the moment. But I've managed to get the mini-map sorted as well today, which we're always working on our old version of the map, but I needed to redo it for our new improved maps. And luckily it wasn't too hard to get working again. So hopefully we're not getting too many frame drops, because my PC is an old lady, seriously. So it's doing well managing, because I have so much open when I stream. Also, one good thing is we can make this ladder as well. We can make the character look like they're actually walking down a ladder. There's a way to do that. So also there must be I must have put a collision tile in front of this, because I can't walk down any further, so I'll have to fix that. So we're getting there. We're about 70% through fixing the collisions on the map. When we're done with that, we'll just get to, we're gonna re-add all the scenes, the enemies on the map, and just work on polishing everything so it's at a good state for a first playable build. And we're also going to have some brainstorming streams in next month as well for where we can take the next quests of the game, and we're going to talk about NPCs and all that kind of thing as well. That's incredible, really beautiful. Thank you very much, Maester. I appreciate it. This map has so many layers. It's pretty crazy. There's a lot of stuff on this map: flowers, vines, all that kind of thing, and it's a mixture of assets by different people. I did the flowers myself because I couldn't find any other flowers that really fit the look as much as I wanted, but the rest of it is kind of either heavy edits by me or artists by other people. We're going to have a massive credit section in this game because, yeah, I don't do everything. I don't do 100% of everything myself because I'll be here till I'm 80. But, you know, I put the thing together as best as possible, and the goal is for the aesthetics to stay consistent as possible. So that's the main thing, to make it look like a world where everything is followed, because we don't want, you know, it to look different if we go to a different region. That's always the risk of using different art assets for everything we do, but it's going to be something to make sure we have. I was halfway through typing a question about the ladder. You always read my mind. Yeah, for sure, because how it is at the moment, it's a bit weird, isn't it, walking down a ladder like that, because you're really actually meant to turn around, and there's a way to do it that when you tread on ladder tiles, your character will automatically face the opposite way to give the illusion that he's walking down a ladder. So that'll be super handy, and just add that little bit of realism and immersion a bit better. So I can see, like, once this map is done, once we've finished all the bits and bobs like the collisions and all that messy stuff, I'll probably be considering little touches we can do that we can add to this world to make it as immersive and as awesome as possible. Things like wildlife is one thing as well, because we don't have any animals here yet, but let's face it, forests have animals. So things like that will be something to consider. The NPC's daily routines is definitely something I want to spend time doing, because I don't want to have the NPCs just standing there and waiting for us to talk to them. Nothing against RPGs that do that. Most of my favourite RPGs have NPCs that just stand there, but I kind of want to just take it that bit further, make this game as immersive as we can, and, like, you know, make their daily movement patterns as something that gives the illusion that they actually have a routine, to just make them a bit real, bring more life to the world, you know. Bunnies, we need bunnies. Burbs, yeah, bunnies and burbs. We'll have to have a brainstorming session about wildlife, and look for wildlife assets and think about how they'd behave as well, because, you know, I mean, I don't know how far we can take things in terms of creatures and NPCs' daily routines, but I'd like at least to put a bit of time into them and make it look like they're living their own lives in this world. And even the animals, like giving them movement patterns and behaviour and stuff. It'll just work with variables, probably. I think it's possible to do. I'll have to look into it, have a think. So, like how Stardew treats its NPCs. Yeah, I think that's a good one to look at for inspiration as well, because, I mean, they have a romance system as well, don't they? And, you know, us in Raindrop Chronicles, we're going to have a romance system, guys, in case you didn't know. It hasn't been implemented yet, but it's on the cards. Don't know if it's going to be implemented in episode 1. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think the earlier the better, because The romance system is something I think is going to be very key to this series, so I wouldn't rule out introducing it in episode 1, but it would probably be in a later playable build, because it's more of a... I'd like to get the easy stuff and the main things, the foundation there first for episode 1. I mean, the first playable build, when it comes out, it's going to be super basic, guys. It's only going to have main quest 1 and 2 in it, as well as, obviously, the map will be complete. We'll make sure we've got no weird black borders or anything, and try and make it as smooth an experience as possible. I mean, it might be a bit rough around the edges because it's the first playable build, and the battle system, especially the boss battle, will not be perfect, I'll tell you that. It will probably need a lot of testing and balancing, and I'm not intending to get it perfect before the first playable build, because we'll be here till next year, trying to get that perfect. I see the battles as something we'll be perfecting throughout the development of episode 1, you know, and then we'll be gradually trickling in side quests and the next main quests, and I'll probably gradually release playable builds on a regular basis once we get into the swing of things and start adding more content, and eventually it'll be at the point where we'll be like, yeah, this is good enough to be episode 1 now, which is far out at the moment. It's not going to be any less than a year for sure, because we've got a lot to do. We've got side quests, we've got a next main quest, and we want it to be good, don't we? We want this to be super good, and the more detail we want to put into it, the longer it's going to take. I totally wouldn't be against a late 2021 or early 2022 release if it meant we was going to have a more polished product. So we'll see how it goes, guys. That's the part I'm looking forward to. Oh, which part, Van? Which part in particular are you looking forward to? And remind me, guys, Zexy or anyone else in chat, how Stardew does treat its NPCs, because I've played a lot of that game. I've put in about 100 hours of Stardew, but I haven't played it for about 2 years. So I need a refresh on how it all works. In fact, I want to play it again to remind myself. The romance system, yeah, for sure, guys, it'll be a fun one. I mean, that's something else. We're gonna try and make our romance system very fluid and realistic if we can, and it's always a challenge because these things are never easy. But it's mainly going to be all work on variables and conditional branches, and all you really need to implement that is patience. You need patience and good organisational skills so that the branches don't get super confusing. You need to be a good planner, organised and patient. You don't need to be a whiz kid at code to implement things like that. And the goals are with the romance system. I mean, we don't have a number for how many of our characters will be romanceable at this time. I mean, we're only going to meet a small percentage of them in episode 1 anyway. So only maybe less than a handful might be romanceable in episode 1. That includes Carol the Barrel, by the way. She's romanceable. But as we go through the episodes, you'll meet more characters and more people will be potentially romanceable as you travel and meet them. And a big thing is people's sexuality will be different. Everybody's preferences will be different. Some NPCs will be straight, some will be gay, some will be both, some will be all genders, because we've got non-binary as a gender now. So, you know, it's going to be like that, and it's about finding out. If you're interested in them romantically, you might find out that they don't go for your gender, or maybe you're in luck and they do. So I think that just adds a bit more to it as well. And at some point I'm going to have to chat to you guys, because I know some of you who've made characters might want your characters to be romanceable. Some of you might not, because your storyline, if you've got a storyline where you've got a wife or you've got a love interest in your backstory, you might not be romanceable for those reasons. And of course, we're going to have a limit on how many romanceable characters there are, because it'll be impossible for everyone to be. Well, who knows? But at the same time, we don't want to think too far ahead. So that's ultimately why I don't have it as a question on the character submission form. Are you romanceable? I've never added that as a question, because if I did, I could find myself in a tough situation where everybody says yes, and then I've got 200 romanceable characters to implement. So, hi Rex, hi Kellis, handsome, how are you doing today? We're having some chats, aren't we, guys? Just having some chats. Been rambling on today about all sorts, as we always do. We're talking about the romance system at the moment because it just got brought up. But other than that, we're doing a lot of testing today, test plays, because we've implemented the mini maps on the new map, and we're doing collisions as well. Because at the moment the trees are a bit messed up. Mainly the big trees, because look, you can walk underneath them. So I've got to fix those. But other than the tree trunks and a few little bits, the collision's done. And when the collision's done, the map's done, basically. There's just a few little sections I've got to add some flowers. But we're there now, we're really getting there with this. At the end of the weekend, by next stream, the map stuff will be all over and done with, which will be a big relief. And let me catch up with chat. So, hi Angel and Spreadsheets, how are you doing? I'm going to read what Zexy says as well. We're also releasing it is one of the best ways to get feedback about the battle system to improve on it. And there's only so much that can be improved upon in a vacuum. Exactly. And I think that's honestly why you can only do so much with the battle system, like at this point. Because I started to realise as we've been doing it, because a lot of streams we've spent on trying to get the fruit boss perfected, get the balancing right, and it's got to a point where it's like, well, you know, we're going to have to stop at some point, because you could go on forever trying to perfect and balance it. And it still needs to be perfected. There's a few, especially the animations with the fruit boss, because it's a very ambitious battle, that transition phase. And there were a few little buggy things I came across, because RPG Maker has its limitations in regards to things like that, and I've had to try and cut corners and do hacks to make things work. But it's going well. I had to stop to do this, but once the map's done, at some point I'm going to be revisiting that. And what I meant by Stardew treats NPCs is how they walk around different places based on the time of day and day of the week. Yes, I would love to do something like that with our NPCs in Fall, because who's with me? It just makes the world more immersive. It takes more effort and more time for the developer, of course, but the results for doing it, I think, are worth it, because you get NPCs that are just more lifelike. Because at the moment the NPCs, well, not in this version because this is a new project, but in our old project, the NPCs are literally just standing there, but we haven't even done anything with them yet. We've not even really considered dialogue, they'd say, at this point, because we've been working more on the actual main quest content rather than Fall itself. But there will be a time once we've at some point where we're going to really start to think about that. Those big trees need to behave. Yeah, Carol the Barrel, angry Carol the Barrel emote. I do, because Rex used that Carol emote, it's reminded me that I want to do 3 more emotes for the rest of the crew at some point. Hank, Elvira and Oliver. It's just getting the time to do them, but it's on the agenda for sure. Well, having not touched RPG Maker in 10 months, I feel like romanceability would have to use a variable slot, since you have a limited number of slots. You just physically can't have everyone romanceable unless there's a plugin. Yeah, that's the thing. There is only so many variables that you can have. I mean, I'm sure there's a way to make sure you're sensible and don't use unnecessary variables and just try and make the most out of what you've got, so you don't, it's about being wise with the use of them, which is why I try to use self switches a lot now rather than switches, because it saves up the switch space. So I'm going to try and make sure I'm very careful and I don't waste any variables, because they're very precious to us. We want to keep them for things like that, for sure. So we'll see how it goes. But of course, it's always nice to think, oh, we'll be ambitious and take this super far, but there'll always be a limit. And didn't realise there was a cap on variables as well. That will be limiting you. I feel like you got to just be smart and wise. You gotta just be careful you're not like just using them chaotically. If there's another way to do something that saves some variables, then that's always smart to do. But I'm gonna still look into it, because who knows, maybe there is a way to increase them, or do hacks to try and get more out of them. There might be ways, and I always think it's worth researching and looking into. So we'll see, guys, but there's still a fair few amount. There's still a lot. We'll say it's exciting though, guys, because now the map's done, or now it's close to being done, I've started to think, the next job is making the map more immersive, so it's not just a forest with no life in it. So things like adding wildlife, giving the people living here daily routines and cycles, even a day or night cycle could work. And I think I always think with day and night, it's not always necessary in an RPG, because story progression makes the day and night a thing. Like in Final Fantasy games, that's how they dealt with it. Further in the story, it'd be nighttime. But with the way we're going, especially if we're going to have like daily routines and with NPCs, and that it could make it better if there was a day and night cycle, just so it makes things more lifelike and real. So I'm going to look into that, see what's possible with that. It's not like 100% decided right now, but I'm considering it. It was mentioned by somebody in stream ages ago, actually, a day and night system, but I basically said to them it'd be something we add at a later time, like once we've got the framework down, because it was way too early to think of day and night before we'd even done the maps properly. But one thing I like about day and night, and my honest opinion why I think it could be good, another reason, is for variety, because episode 1 is only going to be the Everbloom Forest. I think we've said that episode 1 is all Everbloom Forest, because our game, we spend time here, we get to know the people living here, we get side quests from them. They'll have their own mini character arcs as well, the Lakefall NPCs will. So it's going to be many, like potentially several hours of content when you think of that. And why rush? Why rush going from here to a brand new region when we spent so long doing these maps? We might as well make the most of this place and make it super awesome and memorable. And that's the thing, we might want to have a bit of variety, see a bit of night, see Everbloom Forest at night time, see it in the day, just so we don't see the same thing all the time, just that bit of variety could help break things up a bit, so it's not constant daylight. Do hacks, Rose is the dark web, fear her. Yeah, I found, like, in recent months, especially when doing all the cutscene work, that I've had to learn so many hacks to get the cutscenes to a standard that I want them to be, because it's quite limited, RPG Maker, what you can do in terms of scene work. And I like a lot of movement. I like character movement, and to give them personality and poses and all those sort of things, and it requires a a bit of extra animation frames, and I have to like do different sort of things, scripts to make that possible. But it's fun to try. You could potentially have a hidden day-night cycle where NPCs know what the time is, but the player doesn't. So lightning doesn't change, but NPCs know when to still move around. Yeah, I mean, that's possible. I mean, like I said, one thing that is an appeal is the variety, seeing the light Everbloom Forest at night, so we can have a break from the bright screen of the daylight sometimes as we're playing through the episode. But that could be nice. But it's something that's still very much up for brainstorming and seeing what works best with the game we make. And there's a bunch of reasons it could work. I mean, things like the enemies being different at night compared to the day is another interesting thing that could help create a bit of variety. Like, different enemies could be on the map at night compared to day. That's definitely something I imagine being a thing. As well as potentially different quests being triggered at night compared to day, because if we have like NPCs with daily routines, and they give us side quests, some of those NPCs, they will probably not be able to give it if it's daytime. For example, if one of them is asleep all day, if they're a drunk, and they only go out to the tavern at night, and that will be when you get the quest from that person, for example. And shops as well, shops would be shut at night time. So little things like that make the world feel more real and a little bit more it definitely makes it feel a bit more open, not so linear. But there's still going to be that linear main quest there, of course, but I kind of like that it's a bit disguised and not so obvious, and you as the player can still wander around the world while doing those quests. Even watching the NPCs and what they do, or watching the wildlife and things like that is pretty cool. I think so. And then after finish your region, the map could have a switch that introduces the lighting aspect to the play if they come back to the area. Yeah, I've not even looked at any plugins for day and night yet, actually, so I'm not sure actually what is out there. I did give it a Google and I saw that there was some, but I didn't have a proper read through, so that's definitely something to do. Potentially once all this map stuff is finalised and we've got all the scenes and all the events added that we've currently got in the game, I just want to get everything put back in, everything updated and sorted out and in position, and that will be when we can consider expanding on what we've got once everything's already in. But yeah, I can see us definitely just having a chat about these sort of things, seeing what works best. Everyone's going to have different opinions probably, and ultimately it's going to come down to I mean, we want to just do the best for what the game is overall and the feel of it and what's going to work. So we'll see, won't we? We'll see. My goodness, it's getting warm. Should put my fan back on again, I think. Okay, so I'm happy we got the maps done now, because yeah, I'm gonna have to sort out that bug there because we can't walk down that ladder. Let's hide the test play. Warm weather is back, I know. And I was getting my hopes up as well, Steno. Thinking, it's cold again. One good thing is the fall is about to arrive. You know, we're close to fall now, everybody. I'm moving my hair a lot because it's getting sticky because it's so warm. So, yeah. But yeah, it's fall soon. We'll get the cool weather soon. That'll be nice. Okay, so collision. The pink tiles are where all our collision is. The bits that you can't walk into. So Yes, we have an unwanted pink tile here. That's why we couldn't move down. So yeah, we've fixed that now. Okay, so it's literally just trees at this point. The tree collision needs to be done, so we can't walk underneath the trunks. And there's a few flowers to just put on the last couple of maps that I didn't get to finish yesterday. That's going to be done off stream. But I'm just excited at just building the lore for this place, like thinking about the tree more. I'm thinking about potential awesome side quests that can be part of this lore, because I want the side quests to rip your hearts out, everybody. Not in necessarily an emotional way, but in a way where they're memorable and entertaining. Some might be emotional, but overall I want every side quest in the game to have some entertainment or memorable factor to it. If we don't do that with the side quest, I'd want to delete it and cut it out the game, or drastically improve it. Because I want every moment in Raindrop Chronicles to be an experience, a positive one, not filler. So, because if there's just filler in Raindrop Chronicles, what's to stop a player just turning the game off and putting on another RPG instead? There's many others out there. In a physical way, LOL. You heard, Rose. If you fail a side quest, you get your heart ripped out. Brutal. I love it. Yes. So yeah, it'll be fun, and we'll probably come up with a ton of side quest ideas together when we have a brainstorm session. Because, as I've said, September especially, there's going to be the odd brainstorm session we'll be having that month. There's a few of them scattered about. And side quests will probably be one of them. It's all going to just be discussion and brainstorming at this point in time. We won't be making any implementations this early, because we've still got to polish the stuff we've got and finalise things that for first playable build. But I really want to discuss it because it's exciting to do that and to like contemplate where we can take things and get the ideas flowing. Because sometimes you need to sit on ideas for a while as well, and like think about where to take things as well. So it's probably best to start soon, so that we can like really think. Because we don't really have many so far. Not for Lakefall or Everbloom Forest lore anyway, or NPC stories. So it's going to be really fun to think about those things. I mean, we've got ideas from what we've built so far, and when it comes down to it, I'll probably get a doc up and get everything we know so far in the doc and just build from there and see what we can create. Lots of water, gotta have water. Right. Yeah, and I've just remembered as well, we haven't even had an item stream yet where we've discussed the stuff that's sold in these shops. We haven't had that yet, and I think we're holding off on that. In all honesty, I don't want to put too much on our shoulders in one go and be like, let's do an item stream, because that can always be added in a later playable build. Well, no items for now. Playable build 1 is going to just be basic level stuff, and we'll slowly add things, and at some point we'll be like, yeah, let's work on items now. But yeah, we've got other stuff to do and prioritise right now. But we have talked about items. We've talked about the loot that the fruits are going to drop in battle and things like that, but we've not really properly implemented them yet. Thai Space Cowboy, how you doing? It's good to see you. Hope you're having a good day. Moogle plushies and bat plushies are the only items. We can think of a Moogle version of what a Moogle would be in Raindrop Chronicles world. That'd be interesting. This is why wildlife's going to be awesome, guys. I can't believe I've neglected the thought of wildlife, because it hasn't even been really mentioned. Because it's a subtle thing, isn't it? Think something like that. But when we think about the animals in the Everbloom Forest, how cool would it be for them to have their own unique like names? Just like how Final Fantasy has Moogles and Chocobos. Rather than just call them chicken and cat creatures, like giving them unique names is like a super fun thing to do. And we'll probably have polls again for things like that. So be prepared for the polls to make a regular return in streams when we start doing these brainstorm streams, guys. It's been a while because we've not really been adding the new content as regularly, but it'll be back soon. I thought you had some shadow deer in the older version. Shadow deer. Oh yes, that was an enemy. Because we've got our enemies, of course. I think we had the toxic plant, we had bees, we had the flowers with the faces, because a lot of them are alive. We had Stumpy and we had Father Maple. Who else did we have? We had the deer with the red eyes. I think that's all of them. Oh no, we had the mushroom as well. Those are our enemies, and that's something we need to implement on the new map as well. We need to re-add their shadows and give them their own fixed paths on the map as well. So I guess you could see that as wildlife, but we need to clearly distinguish the difference between an enemy and non-threatening creatures, if that makes sense. Because obviously anything that's a black shadow we'll see as an enemy, something that will take you to the battle system to fight. But then you will have wildlife that doesn't have to be a shadow on the map, it can actually be a sprite. Like if it's a bunny hopping around, or a deer walking, we can totally have a friendly deer. And I think that way, if we have the enemies as the shadows, but friendly wildlife as non-shadows, then we're kind of making it clear to the player that what is something to fight, and what is something that is just a harmless creature that's wandering around minding its own business. Yeah, they weren't actual wildlife, yeah. But I'd totally be for adding deers that are friendly deers that we don't see as shadows, because deers in forests, we're going to have to think about the sort of sort of animals that would be in this kind of setting at some point. Like make a list of them, not yet, but when we have the brainstorm stream, we'll do that. And if we can think of some really cool, unique names for them as well, rather than just call them. I'd like to do that. It was just when you said Moogle, I was like, that's something really cool about the Final Fantasy series, the fact that they've got unique names for their animals. Rather than just cat or bat or aggro system, have them chase you down. Yeah, I guess that depends on what you... Because we got to be careful. We got to be careful here, because one thing I think is working well with the direction we're going is the fact it's explorable, and you can sort of look and take in the environment slowly at a leisurely pace. Like, that is one reason I don't think we was fond of the random battles, because people in general don't like being disrupted. They can't explore while having a random counter constantly pop up every 30 steps. It's frustrating. And even dealing with the map encounters, because we don't have random encounters for that reason. We have enemies on the map that then take you into the battle system, a bit like how Persona do it, Persona 5 anyway, because that's one I've played. You see the enemy shadows, don't you, walking around, you run into them and then you fight. So we're going a similar way as that game in that how you see the shadows on the map. But they did, from what I remember in Persona 5, they do chase you, don't they? And I personally hated that as a player because it was disruptive, and I was like, oh, I was looking through this map and this stupid enemy's chasing me now. So it's all about its perspective and preference, isn't it? In you as a player, what you personally get the most enjoyment out of. I'm kind of against putting something in the game that could induce rage, potential rage. Because I'm not like, my goal in terms of making an RPG isn't to frustrate players. It's to make them immersed and in the world and in the story. Those are the key things for me as a developer, what I sort of value. So immersion and story. And that's why I like talking about all the features we did today, like adding wildlife, adding NPC daily routines, adding a potential day and night cycle. Things like that help with immersion. And we got to be careful that we don't potentially add something that's going to disrupt that immersion if we can. Sometimes it can work. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not hating on the aggroed enemies thing. If it was done well, it could work. But it could also become a complete rage fest as well, of frustration. If you're constantly having to run away from enemies that chase you. Because how we have it at the moment is you have to actually walk into them to fight them. But it's definitely something that people might feel differently about. I'm saying that because this is my view, but other people might be like, nah, I love aggroed enemies. You never know, some people that could be the reason they play games. Who knows? I'm all for finding out if anyone does. Let's catch up with chat anyway. A deer looks normal because it's a sprite, but then it's the NPC boss monster deer. Yeah. Deer looks normal, yeah. I love the deer that we have as a monster. Don't get me wrong, I think that's a cute deer, but not every enemy's going to be ugly. Like Stumpy. Stumpy's an enemy and he's cute. Yeah, I was thinking like Chrono Trigger where they are on the map. Yeah, Chrono Trigger, it's kind of like that too. The only difference between our game and Chrono Trigger is that fights on Chrono Trigger actually happen on the map, whereas in Raindrop Chronicles you do get transferred to an actual battle system, a separate screen. So I see it's more like Persona 5. I think it was, I know 5 did it, but I can't say about the others because I haven't played them, where you're walking on the field, you see a shadowed enemy, bump into them, battle transfer happens, and then the fight starts, battle ends, and then you're back on the field. So I think that's a refreshing change from random encounters. And I was glad that we never had the random encounters in the end, because immersion and exploring is key for what we're sort of building here. So kind of helps to not have that. Don't get me wrong, I actually have nothing against random encounters. Some of my favourite games have random encounters and I wouldn't change that, but they fit their games. You know, I don't think the goal of those games was to really be open world or immersive or anything anyway, but they still were in their own way. I think I get it, true. I hated FF games, random encounters. I like Chrono Trigger, you could run past bad guys if you were fast. Yeah, so a lot of people do despise random encounters, which is interesting considering some of the best JRPGs of our time have got random encounters in. Like, you know, the Final Fantasy series is absolutely beloved, isn't it? Many people adore them, especially those middle games. The Golden Age Final Fantasy games were adored, and they all had random encounters. So it's funny how they're so despised, but yet the games themselves are loved. So yes, it'll be interesting. There'll be a lot of design decisions to make, and a lot of thoughts, thinking, oh, is this the right thing to do? If not, and sometimes we might implement something and then decide not to or change it because it doesn't work, or we think of a way to make it work better. I mean, I remember stream 20 something was when I decided to do parallax mapping. Stream 20 something of Raindrop Chronicles, I was like, yeah, parallax mapping, it's everything. And don't get me wrong, parallax mapping's a great thing, but you got to be careful, because if you want to create something big, like a big world, lots of, you can get memory problems unless you know what you're doing. I know there's always ways around things and hacks, but you have to be an experienced coder to do that, and it's not of my ability to pull that off. So yeah, for that reason I decided to stop the parallax mapping. But yeah, things change, and that was one thing that changed. Decided to go back to tile sets, and that can sometimes happen in development. You decide to do things in another way. It's about experimenting and seeing what works the best. And also, those games might have had limited storage space and technology, so they physically couldn't have had enemy sprites battles on the world. Yeah, that's another thing as well, for sure, because back in the old days, there were limitations more so, and that is why they decided to do things a certain way. And it doesn't take away from how good the games were, because they were still brilliantly done and designed despite the limitations. And yeah, for sure. And I think because they had a great story, so we forgive them. Yeah, the story as well, exceptional in Final Fantasy games, that's for sure. I miss anything? Was reading up on extending variable limits. Oh, Azriel, if you find out something about that, let me know, because I'm definitely very intrigued myself to know if there's a way to do that. As somebody who wants to have I'm very ambitious about this, and making sure we have a lot of different outcomes, branching paths and options in Raindrop Chronicles. It's something that I want to do the most. What excites me about making an RPG is every player's experience being different, because of decisions they've made in the game. So no player has the same experience. I mean, I know we've got a main quest. We're going to still have that overarching linear main quest. But even that could go different, based on the actions you take. I think there's something just really cool and exciting about that sort of thing, and making something like that. But we've just been rambling as we are. We've been just talking about game design and things like that, and all that fun stuff. Have not tested, but seems to be a way to do it. Oh, thanks, Azriel. I'm going to save that link, because I'm going to have a look into that. So yeah, we've just been having a good old ramble, chatting about why I might not do things a certain way in Raindrop Chronicles, or why I might, and all those decisions you make, lots of chats about random encounters and why I'm glad we don't have them in Raindrop Chronicles, and aggroed enemies and all that kind of thing. Things that can make players frustrated that we want to avoid. Because I don't want anybody, well, it's, you can't please everybody, we all know that, but I wouldn't like people to be frustrated and think, oh my god, this is that, and screaming at the game in frustration, because that's not the sort of game we want to do. We want to the opposite. We want to get people immersed and wanting to keep playing, be like, whoa, I want to find out more about this world, discover it and learn about it. So yeah, the complete opposite of rage, basically. But yeah, I've been talking a bit because I think we're at a point with this mapping that I've got a lot of complex stuff to do with the tree trunks. I might have to redo how some of the layers are to make this collision thing work with the tree trunks. So because it's not as simple as just putting a pink square over the middle part of the trunk, because you'll be able to still walk around these edges or walk under the edges, and I don't want to add an extra tile because then you won't be able to walk on the grass bit. So I'm going to have a think about that. I mean, I know I did it with this tree. I put the trunk on a separate layer, and I made that layer unpassable. I can't remember now, but I did it a certain way. So I'm gonna have to do that with all the other trunks as well, and that's gonna, yeah, it's gonna require a little bit of focus and a bit of I'll be just staring at the screen like that as I do it. So it's not exactly the most entertaining or inspiring thing to watch, which is why I tend to make the streams more chat focused and idea focused and discussion focused, rather than just staring at the screen doing work. And of course there'll be times that I do that in between, when things get a little bit quieter and stuff. It's I've got to do something. But I do definitely appreciate and enjoy the chat focus streams. Thank you, Anjac the Mage, for the follow, and Rainbow Unicorn for the follow. I'm butchering names because I've been talking so much. My mouth is tired. Welcome. Thank you so much for the follows, folks. If you want to tell us your favourite RPG, feel free to, because that is a great question, I think, to ask people. I think it's a good icebreaker. Considering we're making an RPG here, it's always fun to learn what people's favourite RPGs are. And you got to have some challenge though, or it will be boring. It depends. Like conflicting games, there's always conflicting games apart from Animal Crossing. That's one game that doesn't have conflict. Even Stardew Valley as a chill game had, I suppose, conflict, because you could faint, for example, in Stardew Valley. And yeah, conflict's important, absolutely no doubt about that. To some degree you need something like that, but I think there's a misunderstanding that sometimes people think you've got to add frustrating things to make it not boring. Because in all honesty, I actually think adding frustrating things makes it boring. If you're going to add something that's challenging, make sure it's done well, you know, if you're going to do it. So it's going to be something that players actually think, holy crap, this is I want to do this, I want to complete this. I want to do this right. Like, don't just stick something in the game that's annoying, because there's too many games out there I've played that are like that. There's always something really annoying in them, and then I just turn the game off, and it's a shame because it could have been a good game. But there's thousands of other games out there that I can play, so why am I going to play the one that's making me mad, you know? And map's looking great. Also, love the Wednesday Adam outfit. Hi Vagabond, how you doing? It's good to see you again. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Yes, this is my Wednesday Adam dress. I actually did a Wednesday Adam cosplay a couple of Halloweens ago in this exact dress. Well observed. And thank you for the compliment on the map, by the way. It's really getting there now. We've been working on collisions and getting our collisions down. Got to do the trees because I've put a Z index on the trees so that we can walk under them. But there's a few little problems with the bottom of the trunks because we want to make sure that we can't walk under them, of course. So I've got to redesign how those tree layers are. And other than that, we're basically there, guys. It's just the trees now, which I'm gonna put on some awesome music and do that off stream later. And I'm really happy to have got the mini maps implemented on this, because one worry about switching to a large map was thinking, oh, how are we going to handle the mini maps changing with each map? But we've done it now. We did it. So other than that, yeah, we're getting there. So next week it's going to be more about piecing the scenes back together, and just so we're at the same standard as point that we were before we did the map improvements, and so I can take some videos for a trailer, and make player think but do not frustrate. Good motto, Asriel. I think that's a really good way to see it, and this is why I like that this is a community thing too, because as we do this together, there'll be feedback, and we'll know what's frustrating and what's good, because we'll be talking about it. And who knows, we might add something super annoying and frustrating to the game at some point, and then we'll be like, oh, this is bad, and then we'll take it out because we all agree it sucks. That'll happen, because we'll always do that. We'll always do something and change it, because that's how game development is. It's never going to be perfect first time, but we'll try our best. We'll try our best to add cool things, but if there's ever changes along the way, that's fine too. Just like when I changed from parallax map to tile sets, we went back on ourselves to do that, but sometimes those decisions have to be made. So the thing is, if you want to fight, you can take the step towards the enemy, but if you don't want to fight, aggro range makes the player sit through a transition screen, the chance of failing to run, then another transition screen. Is that how you vision it, Zexy? Let me just clarify, like what it just described is that, I'm going to copy and paste that actually, because I'll be able to read that properly and understand it when I'm off stream probably, so I'm going to give that a copy and paste and put it in my notes section. Yay, Raindrops! You need top 250. My goodness, that is quite high to get in the top 250. Alright guys, so we are nearing the end of stream. I'm going to put a trivia in chat before we go though, and I hope you stick around for the raid, guys, that we're going to do as well. I'm going to get Twitch up and have a look who's on, and then I'm going to put a trivia question in chat. So I know we can continue these chats in the next streams for sure, because I know we've all got a lot to say, and there'll probably be streams that are more specific towards enemies and maps and events on maps and how we're going to deal with all those sort of things, and it'll always be things that are perfected as we do it. Things will be changed and perfected all the time. Okay, so trivia, end of the stream. Crying bat. I love my crying bat emote. I think that's one of my favourite emote out of the bats, my personal one. Trivia question time. No one's going to know this one. No one's going to know that one. To find a family. Bang, got it. LOL, yeah. And I'll remind you again, guys, especially those of you who are newer here or are just returning to stream and haven't been around for a bit, every answer of these questions are on this lore Bible here. Just so you know, because I don't want anyone to feel left out or excluded. I want everybody to get involved with this awesome trivia that we do. And we haven't got much up in the lore Bible at the moment, because we're still very early days with our world building. So there's not too much for you to read. There's, some articles, but not a humongous amount. So we've got easy questions in our trivia at the moment. So, and clarify my thought in the Discord, it'll give me reason to log on. Yeah, sure, Zexy. We've got our ideas discussion channel, and sometimes I don't always get to them straight away, but I'm really glad that we have that ideas discussion channel, because it's always handy to look back on some of the comments too, because I know there's still comments in there from months ago that I need to consider as well, like your comment about the crafting, Zaxi, for example. So we haven't got around to dealing with crafting yet, but when the time comes, I'll be reading that to get ideas. Her goal is to get Axel thrown in jail. Oh my goodness, poor Axel. Don't you guys feel that Axel is the most misunderstood character in the whole saga so far? Because he's just a bad boy oil drum, but he could be like, he could have a lot more to him. I think he absolutely loves Meryl personally, and I think it's the romance of the century. People just assume they're a toxic relationship, but it's the romance of the century. I walk back in and hear trivia. I've got to still give Van the point. Don't worry, Van, I haven't forgotten. Hi, Sangi, how you doing? I can't not say hi. How are you doing? Welcome to the stream. So, and I'll catch up with chat before I fight. end the stream as well. So there we go. Van's got a point. And if anyone does want to see the leaderboard so far, exclamation leaderboard is the command. This leaderboard refreshes every single month. At the end of every month, everyone's back to 0 to give everybody a fair chance. Every law master of the month, you know, will be our first law master of the month this month, and you'll get the special Discord role for that month. And I'll probably make a little archive of the winners over the months as well, and see how that goes, so we've got memories, so we don't forget who the winners were. You could have wrote that in before me. Had to run away from the doorway to the keyboard to type. Van is an expert on the keyboard, I'll say that, getting those answers in super fast. I went to the kitchen for a coffee trivia and saw you. You'll all get a chance. I believe in you guys, don't worry. I mean, Van is kind of running away with it this month, but doesn't mean it'll be like that next month. And plot twist is full of olive oil. Oh my goodness. Something's inside those Axel, put it that way. And yeah, except when Kunga Mr. Radio is in the background, yeah, for sure. Okay guys, so I'm gonna see who is on for us. Thanks for the awesome chats today, by the way, everybody. It's been a fun one. Had to do a few while tasks, like doing collisions, and that's not the most fun thing in the world to do, but it's always fun to have chats while we do those things and think about things, all the fun things to come. And it's good to have you back, Zexy, as well. You are amazing, and we love having you in the stream, so it's good to see your face. You have a good day, Rose. I was glad I was able to make it. Missed all of you in chat. Yeah, you're wonderful. Like Zexy, I'm going to just say this now. If it wasn't for Zexy, our cutscene, our flashback scene with the barrels wouldn't be half as good as it is, because Zexy helped me come up with all of that dialogue. So it was really good. I really like that scene. Enjoy your weekend, Rose. Yeah, you too, Asriel. Right in time, have to run. Have a nice weekend, everyone. Yeah, you take care. I can't get my words out today. You take care, Stero. You take care, guys. So I'm just seeing who's on for us today. I've noticed the last few weeks there are more people online than ever, and it takes me forever to look through everybody. So today, yeah, let's go to Vagabond Dog today, because he's recently started streaming, and he's definitely an inspiring person in the indie dev industry, so I definitely think we should go over there and say hello. Okay. I nearly did the raid command wrong again today. Yeah, Rex has even played Vagabond's game on stream, I believe. You must tell him that, Rex. I think he'd be happy. So, okay. Thank you, Finicky and Anxious, for those follows. I appreciate that. Have a good weekend, Rose. Let me know when you want to chat out. Yeah, of course I will. I'll be messaging you at some point. That's for sure. Are these bots? Guys, are you all bots or are you real? Because whenever I get a batch of followers like this, I feel like I'm being botted. Let's quickly raid so we don't get botted. If you're real, I'm very sorry. I apologise, but part of me feels I'm getting bot follows. So I'm going to go offline as fast as possible. Take care, everybody. I appreciate you all.